All right, good morning, everyone. You all can hear me, right? Give a few more minutes to see if everyone else is joining. We'll start in 5 minutes, okay? All right, guys. So we have Amit, Akhtar, and Itiyab is on the call. So we're gonna get it started now. I mean, whoever join or can explain them later on. All right. So we are planning to do today basically same thing we have been covering over last few weeks. So I plan to actually cover a lot of things that I've done already, and we'll go slowly with the new application. My goal is to actually go over things we covered and thinking as we actually came up with a situation where we have a new application and we want to actually make sure how we can automate that and able to perform our automated task, right? So the application we'll be testing is going to be it's a web Windows application. The application is a Windows application. It's called flight reservation, flight booking, and the purpose of the test is to make sure to test the functionality of the application. Flight booking application. So that's the purpose of the application, and this application is going to be web-based application. So think of this way: we actually all of us are working in an environment, and the first day of the work, and our team actually came up with a new application, and they asked to automate that, and we will start from the very beginning of like what tools we need to use in order to automate the application and how we will be proceeding on, how we will be writing the test cases, and so on and so forth. So first thing first, the application is a flight booking application. It's a Windows application. It comes with the HP UFT tool. When you install it, it's already in your local system. So what we will do is we will go to our C drive. So basically, you go to your C drive, program files, C, and if you go to your C drive, if you are using 64-bit machine, you will have it program files. And in program files, there is something called HPE, Unified Functional Testing. And then once you go there, there should be an application called the sample apps. Okay, it's not here. Let me get it, the URL, because I got that URL written in somewhere in my other machine. So it's basically C program files. This is the URL. I'm putting it on the chat window, so you will have it. Let me paste it there. Right, so once you basically paste it on your search box, and it will open a folder, HPE. So this is the URL, and there are tests called the flight GUI and the flight API, but we are interested to test the application called flight GUI. It's a web Windows application, and it's built on .NET and WPF presentation layer. So if you have this application open, and what we'll do, we'll test the functionality of this application. Basically, from the very beginning, we'll start writing test cases and step by step how you will be actually doing it in your workplace. So think of it as you are working, and then we'll move on. So this application provides us, if you click on OK, just don't put any ups. I close it and let me open it again. So if you type something wrong password, right? This application gives default username and password. If you give a wrong password and user credential, it tells you incorrect username and password. Use username John and password is HP. So let's put that and HP. This application is as it's saying, my flight booking application. So basically, the application is just like the Priceline or Emirates or any website that you use. Same kind of application, but this is more of Windows based. It is not using it in a browser, so we need some add-ins in order to accomplish this test. Once I click OK, you should launch the application, right? And then from there we have a bunch of items: book, flight, search for order. So basically, you just select the location, and we'll be testing with different location and the date, and then how you want to set the class and tickets, and then we'll search for, make sure the functionality of this application works as expected, right? And then these are a bunch of flights came in, you select as usually we do it in real life when we actually have to book a flight, right? And then it asks for the passenger name, and I can say order. So basically, once you place the order has been created, and it gave the order number 87. And then we can go back, new search, and if we say search by order, and we can say by date, we can say by order number. So let's say if we say 87, we just created an order, and which is 87. If I do a search, and I should be able to pull that info, and then we should be able to delete the order. So this is the simple application we'll be doing. It's not complicated. It's there, and then once we actually delete order, and we want to make sure, if I say search by 87, and it should say order number does not exist. So we need to make sure all this error message pops up, and the application works as expected. So this is the basic overview of this application. This is a flight reservation application, and this application written in a .NET. So we need to do a couple of things. I want you all to go to your download folder where you downloaded the. If you go to your download folder, you have the UFT, right? And you already extracted, right? And you did all this, and extraction is completed, right? So if you go to wherever you extracted, in my case, I extracted in my C drive. So I'm going back to my C drive temp folder, and I have it here. So if I open it, I have something called setup, right? Before I do that, I want to show you something. So let's say I open my HP UFT. How do I know whether I need the add-ins or not? How can I tell? So let's say we know that our application is flight reservation application, and we open the application, and now we are launching UFT, but we're not sure what add-ins we need to use. So you click on continue, and once you click on continue, and I didn't have anything selected. I just select as default whatever I had previously when I created, right? And as soon as the UFT launch, we will start testing and see what error we're getting. I want you all to follow me exactly what I'm doing, because this is something that, let's say you started working and you are given an application where you don't have a web application, or the application is not a Java based, and you are kind of confused. It's not recognizing, or it's not reading the properties of the application, or any object cannot be defined by the UFT. So you will come to a situation where you need to do some Google search, or make sure it is working. So let's create a new test, right? I'm just doing a simple test, see if it actually works. Okay, this is I'm giving a name flight booking, and I'm just leaving as everything default. So it's loading, giving some time to load the app. And those who just joined, I want you to go to this link. I sent it on the chat window. Copy that, and it is on the C, Program Files, Microsoft Windows, Start menu, and then HP Software, Unified Functional Testing, and Sample Applications. And in this, we are interested to do the Flight GUI application. And once you launch it, you will see that application. So what I will do, I just copy this, and I'm not putting anything right here. I'm just gonna see if I can able to identify the object. So when you start working, and you will kind of wanted to test out if the application is actually ready to test with the tools available. So right now we have HP Unified Functional Testing tool, and we want to make sure we can test it. So I can say we know that how to launch the application. System util .run, right? And I'm just gonna give that location, and I need to also get the application extension, which is if you go to properties, and it gives you in here, you can get the entire, it's saying link, so we're not going to use the link. But if you go to general and it has a location, right? Basically, this location is same as I just printed here, right? So let's go back here, and we need to make sure this application is executable. So how do we know if it's executable? It's saying the flight and it's a link, but we're not interested to use the link. But let's try it, see if actually it actually works. So copy the entire thing and paste, remove that. It's basically the same location, but with the add-ons to the flight GUI link, right? And I don't have the application open, so I'm just gonna run it, see if I can launch the application, use the tool, right? But anytime you do a automation with any application, the team or development team uh, will provide you the information, what technology has been used for this application, and based on that, you will be able to know, okay, am I be able to use this tool to automate this application? So it launched the application, and we were able to successfully launch it, right? All right. So my UFT open in other windows. So now is the time to, let's say I want to just record these steps. So there are several ways to record it. Either use the record and play, and then you can add it to the object repository, right? So just gonna go to the local. All right, and then we can click on plus sign and start adding those. Let's see what happens. And so it's basically adding the same stuff. If I highlight it, it's just highlighting the entire application. It's not highlighting a specific objects that we want to add. So if I want to click on OK, still doing the same thing, right? Because you will encounter this type of issue. So for this, we need to make sure you know what technology used for this application. For this particular application, flight reservation, it was used on a .NET WPF add-ins we need to use, which is a Windows a presentation foundation. It's a layer that you use to automate, develop an application on a lighter version. And so it's a .NET Windows presentation foundation add-ins. We need to use WPF, and comes with the UFT add-ins. We have to install that add-ins in order to identify the objects on the applications. So what we will have to do is go back to your UFT files, settings, and if you go to the properties, we have these add-ins. You know that, right? If you click on modify, it doesn't give me any other options, because the reason for this is because when I actually launched the application, ActiveX and Wave was these two were default, and that's how it shows in here. So now if I close my UFT, and I'm just gonna save it and close it, and if I relaunch my UFT, it will give me options to select what add-ins I want to use. As soon as it launches, so this is called add-in manager, right? And it has the add-ins that we initially installed. We selected Java, and the web, UI, Qt, mobile was their default. So some of those were, it's already default, and we selected Java, and I think we selected Qt on top of what it comes with. So none of these actually satisfy our requirement, right? We need something called .NET, because this application only supports something is done with the .NET. So what do we do? And you will definitely come into a situation where you need to figure out how to do that. So that is the reason why I'm showing you this. So in this case, if you do a research on Google saying like uh, what add-ins, the way you will do it, what add-ins I need for uh, .NET or WPF, right? App, and it will give you a bunch of options. Add-ins of overview from the Micro Focus, and there are several options. You can look into and see what actually comes up. But in the first one, if I do it, it's going to give me the overview. The .NET framework includes an add-ins models, whatever the technology or framework they use. So in this case, they use the .NET framework. On top of that, they use WPF. So we'll be adding .NET and WPF. So let's go back to our initial settings. So once you come here, you don't have anything. We don't need to do anything here. We just click on cancel. So remember, I opened my where I install my application. I mean UFT. I went here. This is where we started to do the installation. Basically, you'll be start installing again, but at this time we'll be only installing the specific part we need to add, because we already have the other add-ins installed in our local system. So all of you go to this location. Let me know if you are in. I will troubleshoot you step-by-step process. And are you all in the same page? Let me know if you have this UFT downloaded and encrypted. I mean extracted in your local file when we initially install the UFT. If not, you have to go back to your UFT folder, download it, extract it, and leave it as it is. Who doesn't have this in their machine?
I do see I have it, UFT 14.03 DVD 1. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, yeah, the one you have it. You should have something called setup.
Inside that folder?
Wherever you extracted, remember you extracted in
I think I extracted under automation, I believe. Okay, I'll check.
Okay. Let me know who else. Anyone else? Okay, so when you come here, all you have to do, double click on this setup, and you will basically get the same step, HPE Unified Functional Testing, and then you click on the first one, Unified Functional Testing Setup, and if you double click, it's going to ask you to whether you want to accept it or not. You're not going to see that window because this is a admin task. So just click on yes, and then it will start it will look for verify all the requirement for Windows, and click on OK once you see that, and it will start saying preparing for the installation. Okay, so now it's computing space requirements, and once that, this is going to be pretty quick because we're just going to add like only one add-ins, and all you have to do, click on next. And when you come here, because we already have the UFT installed in our machine, it's not going to say install, or it's not going to look like the same thing as we initially installed it. So it will look like something like that. Either if something is wrong, you click on repair or remove the entire UFT, however you want. But for our specific test, because we want to test this application, right? And this is the .NET and WPF, and all you have to do, click on change. Let's change the installation. Basically, what you're doing is you are changing your installation, however way you did it. Click on change, and it will take you the same place where you actually select the add-ins. I hope you remember that we did select the ActiveX, Java, um, and as you can see, Java is already there. Anything you see not crossed, it's already there in your machine. Are you all following along? Anyone who does not have this step, please speak up, because this is today and tomorrow what we will be covering. This is something that will be, you will be doing every day at your work if you are working with the UFT.
I guess I'm the only one who's behind them because I'm downloading it now. Mine was unzipped, so I'm doing it now. But I guess everybody else is caught up since they're not saying anything.
Okay, all right. I want you to all speak up, because if you are silent, it means you either, caught up already. I mean, either way, let me know so I know, how fast I should go, and if I need to slow down a little bit, repeat the stuff, because this is very important, and you need to understand this. If this kind of situation is not, you will not get it in, any online help, but it's going to be confusing for some of you. So that is why I'm showing you a step-by-step process how you can overcome any situation similar to this, such as adding new add-ins to the installer. Okay. Okay. So link to Tasneem, what link you are asking? Is that the link to the application, sample application you're talking about?
Yes, the one that you mentioned, that when I joined.
Okay,
You
so
said
you
you
already
sent a
have
link
the
on the chat
.NET,
box.
right?
I didn't see anything.
Oh, okay.
But if
So
it's the same
most of
one
you
that he
already,
sent, then I'm okay.
yeah, it is the same one, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
he copied and pasted. Okay, very good.
Okay.
And once you select the, in my case, in this machine I don't have it, but in my other machine I have it. So if you click on, we'll be installing .NET, and if you click on plus sign, make sure you check this also. So these two also enabled, not crossed. So when you launch it, make sure you have, WPF. It automatically comes with the .NET. Usually when you, select will be installed on a local, and it's by default, it's gonna uncheck the cross mark, and then allow you to install it. And once you come here, all you have to do, click next, and basically just, change and done. And it may ask for some certain computer, it may ask you to restart. Most likely it won't, because it's a small change, nothing. And once you're done, I already have it in my other machine, so I'm not going to do it right now here. I'm just going to close it and finish. So I didn't do anything here. And I'm going back to my other machine and start show you what actually it's going to look like once you have that over in the once you install it. So I'm launching my UFT, and once you just have to select the license option. In our case, we are using the demo, so we'll just click on continue. So we have ETF has, Tasneem has, and a few other folks already has the UFT. So now look at this add-ins, how it looks. We didn't have, in my case, I didn't have the .NET.
Hello?
.NET and
Unmute
WPF.
আমি খুলকে সাউন্ড হইব
কথা বলতে
নো দরকার নাই রাস্তা সাউন্ড হইব
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Sam? Oh, I'm not able to see your screen. It's all blank, grayed out screen.
I think the problem on
I think it's on I'm using somebody else's Surface. I think I don't have any problem with Surface. It's okay. I'll go back to the computer.
Anyone else having the same issue as me?
I can see your screen.
Okay. So I think it's Amit has to maybe reconnect and
Never mind.
should be okay.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
Okay, so most of you already did the .NET added into your admin manager, and it's already there. If not, just make sure you have it. So all you have to do is select .NET, and you can select either one. Basically, select .NET WPF. You don't need the Silverlight at this moment. If whenever it times comes, we'll select that. But for this particular application, we'll be using .NET and WPF. So click OK, and it gives me an warning, right? The add-ins you selected the following conflicts the operations because we need to select other add-ins. So no, and unselect .NET. Just select WPF because that's the application. That's the one we'll use. When you add the .NET, it comes with the WPF Windows Presentation Foundation. Click on OK. All right. Now we are in basically the home page of the UFT, and we're just going to start our test first, creating our test. Click New, Create. So going back to the requirement of the test. So we actually started planning for the application. Our application name is Flight Booking, and the purpose of the for this test is to test the functionalities of the flight booking application. And then we are basically following the same step we previously did. It's a basic one step how you actually do one test case for any application. This is a generic to any application. Basically, the way you do it, you have to launch an application. Then if there is a user login, you provide a credentials and log into the application, enter some values, and then do some transaction, capture the results, compare the results, and close the app. That's the basic. You could say it's a smoke test or a health check of the application. Make sure the application works as expected after any change being made to the application by the development team, and be able to use this application. And then these are our manual approach, and then we wanted to do the automation based on our manual approach. So we'll start writing a test case right now. So we know our application was the graphical flight reservation or flight booking, and we can say, okay, let's write some column test case ID. I need all of your help to looking into that file so you can actually edit and add test cases into that, and so we can move on to the next step. So test case ID would be the first tab, and then description of the test, basically, and then we can say, okay, what else we can provide. Anyone can help me with that? So we have test case ID, we have a test description, and we can provide expected results, and then we can also say, okay, actual results, right? And then we can say status or results. Let's say put a status. And
Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, do we need to put the steps as well?
Sorry?
Steps? Like how we test?
Or the test steps?
Yep.
Yes, I actually created another tab, test steps. So we will be mapping to the test case sheet and to the test case, and I'm coming back to that. As we are writing our test cases, we will also develop our UFT script. So basically, this is how you do it in a real world environment. There might be some differences, but most likely it will be the same as I'm doing it. So let's give a test case ID. So test underscore 001, right? And what is the first thing we'll do if we have to test this application? What is the first thing we'll do? Anyone?
Open the application.
Exactly. So open flight booking app, right? If I misspell anything, please correct me, because this is something we are doing it on a live session, and I want you all to participate here as if we are a team. So think of as a, we are team working together and trying to accomplish something at the end of the day. Our goal is to write a test case on the application called flight reservation, and be able to automate whatever we write here and automate those features, so we don't have to repeatedly do the manual task, right? So expected result will be what we can say application launch or successfully, right? Am I correct? This is what I expected result, and we will perform this based on what we get. So for these test cases, we are going back to basically, let's copy this entire thing here and go back to our test steps, paste it here. So we can say test case ID. Now we can provide another on the left side saying test steps ID, right? Test underscore steps ID. This column belongs to this step ID to actually identify which step we are working on. So our first test case ID was test case 1, and we can say test. We just say step underscore 01, right? And the description was basically open flight reservation, right? Flight booking app. That was, we don't have any other app. I mean, any other steps, right? So let's do it manually first thing, and then we'll convert that into an automation, right? So if I go back, so we are writing a test name is going to be flight booking. Test. And I'm storing into my script folder, which I created, automation script, and it's going to be flight booking app. And all I have to say is create. You don't have to do this documentation because it is shared with you all. I'm just going to send the link so you can actually write. I'm going to ask some of you to write on this spreadsheet, and as you write, we will all be able to see it. All right, so this is the spreadsheet. I want you all to open that, and if there is anything error, you can just type in there, and should be fine. So please open that. And okay, so you have only view access. You should be able to add it. Let me add you all so you can actually edit on this. Let me give you access. Okay, can you write something now? I made you to all update on this. Let me know if you can. Okay, I see. Yeah, the name is actually be able to type. Okay, very good. Can you type something? See if we can type.
Yeah, typing works. I can add.
You cannot? Should be able to do it though. Okay. All right, good. So I'm going back to my script. So what we did, actually I'm just going to change my color of the comments. It's changed a little bit. And editor, font. BB script, just going to change the red. Okay, so I think this is good. Okay, probably have to remove the bold. Let's go back here again, comments, editor, font, the script, comments, uncheck this, and okay. All right, so you all have something like that. If not, let me know. I can show you where to actually set it up. This. Okay. So today's date is going to be 04. Are you all familiar with this? The header? How I got created this one automatically?
No.
No, right? Okay. So what you'll do, follow me while I'm doing it, so you will all be able to actually. And you just need to basically just copy it. I'm putting it on the chat window, so you can just change it as based on your whatever you're doing on your end. So I want you all open Notepad or Notepad++, whatever you have. So I'm just gonna open Notepad. Just type Notepad on your um, the one session and just paste it here, right? If you paste it here, however way you want, you can actually modify it based on your needs. You can change that to whatever you want to put in there. But in this application, we can say application type graphical user interface based application, and the user would be probably we can say regular or valid user, and then we can provide the purpose of the test we are doing. Try to do it a couple of times after the session, so you will get familiar with this purpose testing functionality of the application. In our case, is a flight reservation. You don't need to set this here because this is going to be a generic to any test you open. So that's why I just put it as this way. And you don't need to put the date here. All you have to say month, and yes, sorry. So and then date. So you can say DD, just the format of how you want to set it, and then year would be y, and then initial version, leave it as it is, and you don't need to put a name here because whoever creates the test will be provide their name, right? So all you have to do, go to File, Save As, and where it say the file name, you will say Action Template, Action TEMPLAT template dot MST, I think. Action Template MST, and you can select all file types. And in here, what you have to do, you have to go to your C drive and program files, HP, Unified Functional Testing. So once you come here, there would be something called DAT, right? And all you have to do, save it here. In my case, I already have Action Template here somewhere. Let me see, date modified. See, I already have this one, Action Template .mst file. And once you save it, because I already saved it, so I don't need it. But if you did not do this, I'm canceling out, so just gonna leave it save. Okay, and doing it again. Action TEMPLAT template dot MST, all files, right? So I'm saving it in my desktop, and I'm gonna share it with you all after that, after the class. But for you, you already have it on the chat. Okay. So that's how you got it. Are you on the same page, everyone? All right. So, and then it's automatic. You don't have to rewrite this over and over. It will automatically come as soon as you create a new test and will be there. So first thing first, what we did, we gave a name of the application, flight booking test, and we'll go by test case as it. So the first test case we have is a launch application, right? You can say launch application. That's the action name we'll be using. Yes. So here I can change here based on what I'm doing on this action, because it's already creating graphical user application purpose. I can change this to saying, okay, launch flight booking app, right? This is what I will do. And today is the date, and my name is here. And the date initial version would be, you can say initial version, leave it as it is, or say v1.00, right? However way you want to track these and save everything here. First thing, we'll provide some constant. So we already know constant is a global variable that can be used throughout the application, which is a flight booking test. So we can say const, const, and let's say we want to provide a variable str app location, right? We can get the app location. We just say lock, and then it's going to be the application location will be inside a string. So where is our application? I copied in the chat window. If not, I'm putting it again. Just copy this. This is, oops, no one say anything, did not receive that template thing. Okay, now I'm giving the where you find this application. This is the location you'll be able to find the app. So if you copy that and look into your search box and paste it here, it should open up the application. see it opens, right? So we can provide the location here, the program files, HPE, Unified Functional Testing sample slash flights application, and then flight GUI.exe. That's the exe file, right? So this is done. Now we can go back to our spreadsheet. What we are missing here? So we have our first case was open flight booking application, launch application, expected results, launch the application first, right? So can we launch, what method I should use to launch my flight booking application? If I want to open this application, what would be the command that we use to open the application? If I were to do it manually, I can say Windows R, and then if I provide this flight exe, and then click on it. I mean, I have to provide the entire path to launch it. Okay, probably. And this is the manual way we're doing it. But how would we do it if we have to open it using a command or a code? Isn't it just
System.run.
System
And what would be the next thing I would do?
open or
Okay, open.
run.
Is there open?
No, there is no open. Run. I don't know. I think run.
Run, then
Okay.
open.
Run, then dot open.
No, just run is fine since there's not.
And then the path.
Space. Okay.
Full quotation
Okay.
and the path.
Path where? Inside the quotation?
Yeah, inside the quotation.
Okay. Which path? Where is the path? Give me the line number, please.
It's line number 17C.
So do I copy this,
Yeah.
or do I use this?
You can just use the variable since that's the definition of it.
Yeah.
Just
That is
str
correct.
app
So
look.
this location is already residing inside this, right? So we can just say, okay, because it's already inside a quotation, we can just use that name, right? So we can say str and control space, right? And it gives me the name already here, right? Because we already declared that constant. And I can just say here, and I don't need anything else. And if I want to run it, let me click on run. Is the application open and launch?
Yes.
Successfully, right? So how do we know? How do we actually test whether this application actually, you run that command? It's saying, okay, systemutil.run, and then you gave it, the URL or the location of the application, and you click on run. But do you think we need to perform something to tell, okay, tell the UFT, okay, how did it actually recognize whether the application was launched or not? What we have to do? What can we do to, like, in a general, like, if you were to make sure, let's say you open a Bank of America, right? You went to Bank of America www.bankofamerica.com. How do you know whether the Bank of America application came in? Because you might type something wrong, right? And then instead of Bank of America, you open some other app. But how do you actually tell whether the Bank of America app opened or not? In our case, the flight reservation. How do we know? Anyone?
Check the run result.
No,
I think you look at the logo if it exists.
The logo?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do a spy on it, on the logo. So see if we can actually highlight the logo. Let's highlight the entire thing. So we can say at least, you know, the entire page, we can check, okay, if it's there or not. Or we can say, okay, something else. We can say, okay, is the username field exist? It's saying agent name. We can check by that as well, right? Isn't it? Or maybe we can say okay or cancel button or the entire window. Something that tells us, okay, the application actually successfully launched, and we can verify that. So some of you already gave me the answer, but still I'm looking for specific items. And Umit said the logo. Which one is the logo? I'm not sure which one is the logo. It looks like this one, but when I do the spy on it, it just spy the entire page. Like if I want to highlight it, right? It's highlight the entire page. Still do the same thing, right? So let's just look at the one field saying, okay, at least the username field appears on the application. So that way we know the application is there, because if you spy on it, it gives the agent name and it has all the properties in there, right? It tells, okay, agent name, and then, you know, the other text that actually validate whether the page is there or not. And once we highlight it, it highlights that field. So you can say, okay, if this field exists, then we can say application successfully logged. So we can add it to our object repository, right? Click on plus and add it, and it changed the icon here. So we have it in our object repository. So let's open the object repository. And instead of agent name, what does it say on the application? It's saying username. Can we change it to the username? And if I don't want the agent name show here. I want to show username. Where do I change that?
Name, object properties, name.
Here?
Yep.
Okay. So username. And if I change it, it changed, right? So all I have to do is just drag it here. I mean, drop it here. And then I'm not going to set any value. All I am interested to say, okay, if this user field exists or not, right? So what would be the condition I should apply in order for me to validate this exists or not? I'm looking for a conditional statement.
If statement.
Sorry?
If statement, if else statement.
Okay. So dot. What method I should select here?
Exist.
Which one?
Exist.
Exist. Okay, so that means it tells me if this exists, and what we do here, it's saying exist optional timeout. So we can give some time here, right? If it takes, you know, longer than expected to launch the application, let's say we put 5 seconds, but it's not, the 5 seconds doesn't mean it's going to wait until 5 seconds. It will wait until this property visible to the IDE, which is UFT, right? As long as it can identify that object is showing on the page, which is, if we go back, if this page launches immediately within a second, then it's not going to wait 5 seconds. It's just going to move on to the next line, right? So if this exists, what can I say? Okay, this is our block, right? And if, right? But we need to say, okay, we said if this username exists, then do what? Ityab?
Yeah.
or Shamam, Gohar.
You can put a statement as print
Or else you could do reporter.report event,
make pass.
make pass and all that.
Okay, so guide me. What can you tell me? You said reporter dot
Report event.
reporter dot report event.
Make pass.
Okay.
And double quote. Then you could say the book my flight booking app launched.
Okay. Read what it read what it says. It's report step name. So can we go back to our step name and let's say open flight application, right? We can use this. Basically, we are using the same thing. Can we say open flight booking application, right? Or this is the step. Report step name. So open flight booking application, right? And then results is already, we said reporter event was passed if this exists. And as we just provide some additional information for the users or readers to read, right? So we can say double C fully launched. Is that correct? Can we say that? And if it doesn't exist, if it doesn't launch, right on time, what can we say?
Else.
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 Yeah. Okay. Else.
The same thing, but make fail.
Okay. Can we just copy this one and let's move? We can say make fail, right?
Yeah.
If you put space, it gives you option, right? All you have to say make fail. Open flight booking application, because that's gonna be the same step we are doing, because it doesn't. It already tells if fail and then fail to launch flight booking application. We can say that, right?
Yes.
And all right. So this is what we are doing. So let's do some troubleshooting how it actually reports looks like. So let's run. So looks like we have two of them open here, right? So we need to find a way to actually overcome that. So we can provide something. Maybe we want to close this if it already exists. So we can say system, same thing. If I want to close, what would be my option method? We can say close process by name, right? And then provide the whatever the, if we go to text manager, like manually, if I were to close the process, right? I have to just end task or just click on here. That's how we do it. End task and close, right? It closes everything. So we can say, okay, just flight we can use the same name, and now we can run it, see if it actually works. Okay, so it launched the application. Saying if case exist, which it does, and it printed out the results, right? And that's our end of the first test case. Launch the application. So if we want to view the results, and we should be able to see details. Is there any error? No error, no warning, right? So our test passed. It launched the location, it print out the exact location, and then it's saying, okay, username exists, which is what we actually mentioned earlier, and then it's saying custom. That means the reporter.report event was used to report the status of the test, and the custom steps open flight booking application description successfully launched flight booking application and execution time, right? And if it failed, it would say cross, and then it would print out the second option, which is this. Make sense? All right, so going back to our test cases. So our first test case was open flight booking application launched successfully. And whoever wants to write the actual results and status, can you provide that info? Anyone?
Successfully launched.
Yeah, yeah, I want you to write that in there because this is the teamwork. So we all are working. I'm not going to do everything. I'll show you what to do. So this file is shared with all of you. So please type one person and let me know who is typing so it doesn't conflict with others. Okay, so I think someone already typed. Very good. All right, application launched successfully, status passed, right? That was our first test. Can you tell me who did that?
I did pass and Tasneem did application launched.
Sorry, Selena, can you repeat that again? What do you say you did not?
I did the status pass, I wrote on it, and then Tasneem did actual application launch successfully.
Okay, very
if
good.
you just click
So,
on it, it actually shows who typed it.
So you guys notice one thing, I have expected result here and actual result here, and I also have it here, right? What? Okay, this is test data, not here. Okay, here. But do you did anyone change here just now? Okay, all right. So don't click on undo if it's already changed. So we had already this, done, and so we already have expected results and actual results because we are doing a step by step. So we don't need to use it in the. We just need to provide that info in the steps, not in the test case. The reason for this, we might have a multiple steps, but we are going to have only one test case for each one, right? So if we just copy this to our steps, just paste it here, and then remove this two columns from here. How do I do that? Delete. There is option to delete actually. Okay, cut it. No. All right, delete the column and delete the column, right? So all we have to do, say either the test case is pass or not. So let's say if we go to the next one, we'll know. So my next test case would be login, right? Can someone write login description? While I'm going to create another test in the here, just write, put it on the chat, whoever writing it, so not everyone is going to type it, because if everybody types at the same time in the same column, it might conflict. So it's better just put it on the chat and let me know I'm writing on it. So our first test case was to launch the application and verify if the application launched successfully or not. So we can save that, and now we're going to create another action. Each action will be represent each test case. So next test action would be create an action and login, right? Login. Can we say login? Yes. And we can provide the same test description here as well if we want to. So we can say login, log in to flight booking application using valid credentials, right? Or we can say, okay, user should be able to log into the flight. We can say user should be able to log into flight booking reservation booking application using valid credentials. That's our test case. Basically, inside the name of the test case is login and the description, right? And we can say okay. And we basically have the same template came in, and we can provide just purpose to, we can purpose say login, right? And the date would be, we can change the date 04. I mean, basically you might not be doing it in the same day, so you can change it. For our case, we are doing it today, so we can just provide today's date, right? And just put a tab, save it. So now our job is to log in. Let me go back to that spreadsheet if anyone actually wrote something. Very good. Okay, so I will log in with valid username and password. Excellent. Yeah, which is correct. What about the step? Can we do anything? Can we provide the step name also as well here? So we can say, I'm going to write this one so you can follow me also. 02. Is that the test case ID is a 02? 002, right? So test case ID is 002. So we can say 002, and we can say for this one is step 1. Okay. And enter username, and accepted results would be whatever the user name entered. If I spell it incorrect, let me know and fix it also. And for the same thing, test is gonna be test case 002. We are using the same test, and we can say step for this test case. This one is going to be step 2. So we can say enter password, right? This is the manual approach you're doing here. So we are doing both at the same time. Password entered, right? And actual results and expected result can be same. So let's do some color changing here so we can map to the test. And let's say put this color here. And I mean, if you don't like this color, change it to whatever color you like. I'm just putting it for now to kind of make a difference between two test cases. So next thing, going back to this. This one, isn't it? Okay. So all right. By the way, Google Docs is automatically saved as soon as you type something within a second. So now we are in the second test, which is test case 2, and it asks us to enter the username. So let's automate that. All right. Now, how do we automate our login functionality? So we can either say, okay, we're not going to use any constant here. Let's use some variables. Declare some variables. By the way, if you use the constant, you don't have to declare as a dim, as we did the other one. Like we just put it as a constant. We didn't have to do the dim because we are using a already built-in method along with it, and it is constant. You can't change it in other place. If you need to change it, you have to come back here and change it the integer. I mean the string. And let's close this one. So we are in the login test, right? So our first theme was to give username str underscore user name, right? Or we don't need to use the underscore. We just can say str string name, and then next one we have is str password, right? So let's provide the value to this. Okay, and just going to copy these both of them and provide some value into it. And we have some username. Can someone tell me what was the username when we actually HP actually gave us a
It's on.
so let's the way if you are testing this on your own, like practicing at home, just put some invalid data here, right? If you're I'm just putting something, and it's gonna say username must be 4 characters long, right? But okay, let's put 4 character. I put in here, and it's saying incorrect username and password. Use username John and the password HP. So this is what it is, right? It gave us the John and the password is HP, right? It's saying caps HP. I don't think it matters for this test. All right, so we already have the data, right? So what would be the next thing we will be doing if we were to use, since we are using the object repository, we are not using descriptive programming here, right? So all we have to do, either we can add objects to the local, which is the login, or we can create a shared object repository and put everything into one shared. So we already have one. So let's create a shared so we don't have to individually maintain, because every time if you want to change something, you have to come to this object repository to change anything that belongs to login. So it's very inefficient to do that. That's why we want to maintain all the objects into one object repository, right? So we already have the username. All we have to do, go to File, Export, and I already created one, so I'm just going to delete this one and just create a same of the flight booking underscore TSR file and create, right? And it is residing inside my object repository file. So now, since I already created, what I have to do, I can either go to the one of this and associate it, or I can go to the resource, associate, and click on plus sign. And if you are not in the shared object repository location, you can just go to wherever you save it. But in my case, I save it on the object repository folder. So I'm just going to click the flight booking or click OK. So now, since I created only 2 actions, one is launch application, another one is login. So I can associate with both of them. Just highlight both, or you can just select one after another and then move it to the associated action. And click on one of this error, and it will bring it here, and click OK. So now we have it. We have our shared object repository. So we no longer need anything on the local, so we can delete that, right? So we are not dealing anything with the local object repository. Everything we do, it's going to be in the shared object repository, and that can be shared across the team. So if we are working in the today, if we all of us working in this object repository, and at the same time and you are working on one functionality, I'm working on another functionality. We can actually share this, right, across all of us. So I'm just going to start adding. So we added username. Now is the time to add the password, right? I click on password and just make the P caps password and plus on and click OK, right? Click OK. All right. So we already added this and we can save it. Now is the time to save the object repository. So what we have to do, we can select each of these and basically drag it here. So I have it all this. Have you noticed something like it's look different here? WPF window and something different than the previous. We had browser, page, and window, right? You might have wondering why it looks like this. So this is the application. That's how it's designed. It's saying WPF window presentation foundation window presentation foundation window, and it's a application built in .NET. So that's why it looks like this. But if you are working on a Java, it's going to say Java window, something like that, and then whatever the browser name, and I mean the name of the window, and then it's going to say Java button, something like that. Or if you are working some other application, but if we were working on the web base, that's why it's saying browser, and then we had something browser, then page. It's the hierarchy that you use. So WPF Windows is the parent object, followed by, and then the button, right? And the set, the username and password. So the order that we are going in our test case is going to be the first username, then the password. These are all repeating steps. So we covered this before. So I want you to ask me a question if still there is a confusion. Don't just be silent, ask question. So we can be the same pace. Once we finish this test case, we'll take a short break. All right. Now this name is saying HP flight sample application. There is an N missing. Why is N missing here? Can I say N here? Will it work? Or I have to change it in my object? This is where I will be changing my logical name, whatever name I want. So I can say HP flight booking application. I can say, whatever it makes sense to the user. I can say HPE flight booking application, right? And save it. So it changed for this. It also changed for the others, right? So now is the time. Can someone help me here? What I have to provide this? What parameters I have to provide here in order for me to log into this application? Please speak up.
String.
Okay, string. What would be my value? So if
John.
John.
Yeah.
So do I type here John?
To open code and close code in between, and then you type John.
John. Okay. All right.
And what would be HP, same as John, with double code.
Okay. Anyone else?
I thought you would do str username.
Okay, so Selena, right? Or
Yes.
okay, so you think is str, and then I should provide the what is it? Name, right? Username, right?
Yes. That's what I thought.
Okay, you thought that. Okay, that's good. I mean, yeah. So Amit thought is going to be string. Both of you are correct, actually. You know why? because the value I'm setting here is going to be the username, which is John in our case, right? But to make it more efficient, we created some variable called username and password, and we already assigned that value into that string as a string for the username, and same thing for the password. So we don't need to rebuild or retype the name John here, because we already provide that variable. So all we have to use that, because anytime we need to change, we just change it here. Whoever wants to run this script, we just change it here, right? We don't need to come here and change it, or wherever, anywhere the username is used, all we have to do, change it here. Make sense? All right, so str, if you say control space, and it will give you the all the options that are available to use. And so this is what we did, right? But I'm still missing something. We actually applied something to make it more neat, you know. We did cover something like make it more, you know, plainer with the statement, right? How do we do that?
Go to
Edit.
files.
Edit.
Edit.
File or edit?
Edit.
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 Okay.
Format.
Comment.
Apply with.
Apply with to script.
Okay. You see something? There is also a shortcut you can do. Control
Yeah.
W, right? If I do that, it's gonna give me the way that my script is gonna look like if I apply with, right? So don't you think this view and this view, which one is look much neat and clean? This one, right? Like more programmer way of doing, like as you are writing a code, right? Okay, why can't I start me over here? Enter. All right. All right. So we provided our test. Right?
Sam, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
For the password, do we need to do the set secure to encrypt the password?
That's a good point, actually. Yes. I mean, I didn't do that because I'm just providing a hard-coded password, right? But in order for us to keep our password protected, which is the security violation in your work environment, and I'm glad you remembered that Greg actually covered in one of his sessions, and there is something called set secure, right? And I think if I click on dot and set, and it has set the encrypted value of the edit box, right? If we want to use a password that is encrypted, we have to provide this method. So if I say set secure and then provide a password, do you think it's going to pass here? Let's try it the other way. Let's try it regular. Let's say we'd never provided the set secure, right? And we can just say run. Let's run from this step. Actually, run it from the debug mode so you can see the difference. And I'm going to explain that. Okay. All right. So if I go to my local variables, we see the two variables already created, and it doesn't have any value and doesn't have the type name. So if I go to the step into, it tells me there is a value and it's a string type. And next, now it's telling, let's go to the Windows, which is the parent objects. Click on it. Now it came to the second line, which is WPF edit box, which is the username, and this is here. We're supposed to set some value here. Let's go to the next. Okay, it typed John. Then let's go to the next, and it typed 2-digit here, right? Which is the HP. We know that, right? And if we click on it, it should allow me to log in, right? So I'm logged in, right? All right. So the name of the person is John Smith, which is his last name, the user. And I'm going to close it, and now I will implement the set. See what happened. Okay. So we had method called dot set secure, right? And that's all we need to use, right? Is that what I need to use, or anything else I need to change? Akhtar? Akhtar,
Yes,
are you
hello.
there? Yeah, so are you getting it? I mean, what's happening here? If I say set secure, do I
Okay.
need to change anything else, or this is good?
I think you need to put something. It's called increment, something like that. I don't know if I got it
Do
right.
what?
Um,
Okay. All right, let's run it, because my application, I already closed it, so I'm just gonna run the entire, and I will put a breakpoint here. So let's run the entire test. It will launch the application, and then it will validate whether okay. So it did the first test, and we executed that. So I'm here, right? And we have John and HP here. So let's do it. And now it's supposed to type John, and now it's going to type HP, right? And it's supposed to click OK, right? Still took it, right? But what I'm actually missing here, is there something like I'm violating the security rule? Anything that trigger on your brain? Like, do you think I use the set secure? Does it make sense to use set secure but it's still providing the hard coded password?
no, it's
What
not.
can I do?
You should write
It,
something.
it is.
You know.
I should secure my password, right? I should not let other users, when they're running it, not to know my password, right?
Okay.
So this is something we'll be asked at the interview question. Keep that in mind. How do I secure my password when I write my test and hand over to other user? Let's say I wrote my test and I'm not at work today, and there is a need to run the regression test, and Akhtar is responsible to run it, but he doesn't have username and password. He will be using my username and password, but I don't want Akhtar to know my password. And because I provided a password here, so he's gonna, if he open this test, he will know my password is HP, right? And I don't want that to happen. So what can I do to actually prevent other users to know my password? There is a couple of things I can do. There is something HP actually provide called encoder. I think password encoder. If you type on your search password encoder, right? Or encoder password, something like that. Encoder, it's not showing yet. Okay, anyway, but that's not we need to do. But there is a better way of doing it also. If you are not sure, if you go to your data table, if you type HP here, right? Let's say type HP, right? And this is my password. Let's say put caps HP. And if I right mouse click on HP, and if you don't remember, just right mouse click and look for each one of them. See if you see something called encrypted. Is it showing here? Encrypt.
Yep.
Okay, if you click on this, it will generate a encrypted password, which no one will know, what is this means. So I can provide that here, HP. Where is the HP? Replace HP. So it gave me some encrypted numbers, 58B. It doesn't make anything. If he tried to log in as a any other user, for this user it will still it will not take. It's supposed to not take. If I say set and then provide encryption password, it's as if he's trying to use it my password, right? So I'm just gonna run, and I have a breakpoint here. Let's save it. So I don't need that here, right? I can move it and run it. So I close my. Okay, so now we are in the login window. Basically, if I say, okay, this username and set the password, right? We encrypt. We are doing the other way, basically. We encrypt the password, but we are setting as a set regular way, not set secure. And now see all the password number is here created. Let's click on OK, see what happens. Yes, So it tells me, even if someone's try to use my password as if they know only this, if they type John and the whole password here, it will give them an error, right? They can use it only if I share the encrypted password, and they have to use something called set secure to log in. So I'm just going to close it, and I will say use the set secure to see if it actually works, right? And if you go in the set secure, it tells set the encrypted value of the edit box. Okay, so let's run it again. And I mean, I'm just going to clear out all this John and whatever is there and run from the step. Okay, so now you see the password is saying whatever encrypted password is in there. And let's say set John. Now, as soon as I set the set secure str password, you see that it only took HP, right? I mean, which is 2 digits. We had HP, but I had only a couple of digits here, right? There's more than like 10 characters here. Why did it do only 2 here? So when you pass the values as a set secure, it converts to it's basically decrypt your password. It actually converts to the original and pass that, so no one can actually see it. But I can still get your password basically by looking at this. But I'm not going to show you right now. I can still get it, but whoever is going to use is not going to think that way. And I will show you in the future class how to actually overcome that. Not to even encrypt the password. Use more strong method to use your password for others. And click OK. And it should log me in. So now since we are here, how do we know if John actually successfully logged in? We need to use some something that actually tells, okay, John successfully logged in as a user. So we need to provide something as we did for the launching application, right? So since we already logged in, we can print we can provide a if statement, right? If, let's say, if I'm just giving an English type, John Smith if John Smith exists, right, name exists, or whatever I want to use. And then double quote, and then I want to report something, right? Report something right here. And then else I want to report something else if it's not showing it here, right? That's how I validate whether the user successfully logged in or not logged in. So if going back to the example of Bank of America, if you were logging into your Bank of America, you provide your password and username and password, and you hit login. How do you know if you are the person, you are logged into the right account? Or maybe if the system has a bug and it's logged in to the maybe president's account or somebody else, right? Or maybe someone else account who is not belongs to the Bank of America. And many things could happen if there is a bug in the system. So you want to make sure the right person log in using the right username and password. So the only way we can validate in this, we can say, okay, hello, John is showing here, right? Or if you're logging in your Bank of America, you have to say, welcome, Akhtar or Alamgir or Burhan or whatever you are logging as, and it should print that name, and that's how okay, this is the valid user logged in. That's how you test it. So we can say something. We have to add into our object repository. Okay, let's save it. So we have our object repository open. We can add this text, right? We can say, okay, win object. It says win object John Smith, right? And I can say, okay, highlight it. So it highlights this piece here. So we can say validate this, and basically what I can say, I can bring it here let's make our windows a little bigger. So I can say, okay, if John Smith dot these things exist, then our test is passed or else is failed, right? So we can take this entire thing away and basically paste it here. We can say this, or we can do other also options. So do you think I need the WPF window HP flight booking information is here? Do I need that line? I mean, this part, whatever I highlighted, do I need that, or I just
No.
why I don't need it?
Because you this line you already declared with statements.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I can remove it. The way I can know is if you have a dot, if you right mouse click here. Okay. Let's copy this entire line from here, window objects, and if I move it somewhere here, I should be able to see it's saying object properties. It recognized the object, and it recognized because the with statement is giving me the parent object already on the line 25. That's how I know, right? So all I have to say, if this John Smith dot exists, I also can use something called getArray property. We'll come back to that again. So I can give a 5-second wait here and say done. If window object John Smith exists, I can say reporter dot report event reporter, I think, yeah, report event, right? Event, then I can say, my test is passed, right? If this exists, and then I can give it, I can say the step name was login, right? That was our step name. And then step details. John logged in, right? I can say that. Or I also can copy this basically. Next, if he is not logged in, I want to fail this test. And that's a defect on the application, or could be something else. And then I say fail, right? Login, John was not logged in. Okay. And so this complete our logging test. So let's test it and update our the spreadsheet, and we're gonna take break. But before I take the break, I want to ask all of you if you are actually still confused about anything I covered so far. Okay. So if you go to view the results, and it tells me, okay, the first one is booking application. That's the checkpoints we had. So that was to validate our test, whether it passed or not. And the second one, we gave a name, login, and we said John logged in. If it's failed, it's saying John was not logged in or something that you want to define. So anything in the report event, however you want to, report it, you just provide your info. So let's go back to our spreadsheet. Can anyone update this one? We did the test case 1 and test case 2. Whoever wants to update it, please update it and ask me any question at this time before we take our break for 15 minutes, and we'll come back at 12. Is that okay? I mean, do you guys want to continue, or you want to take a break for 15 minutes and come back at 12, exact 12 o'clock?
Yes, very good, Vicar.
Okay, so you asked, Ethiop, you're saying you got lost during. Can you speak up? I mean, sometimes I don't see the chat window, like, maybe I missed it, but it's better if you could speak up and, let me know at the point when you get lost. Objective positive. So I'll come back after break and I will explain and talk to you what you actually got lost. So we'll come back at exactly 12 p.m. Eastern time, okay? Thank you all. I hope everyone is back online. Let's do some troubleshooting for Ethiop. Ethiop, what you did not understand? Okay, so you're saying you covered the object repository. The only thing you did not get the password secure. So I was explaining about the secure password. Is basically when you use the method called set secure, you have to encrypt the password. So that way you do it. Previously, we had the password as HP. That was our password. In order for you to use the set secure and encrypt the password, all you have to do, type HP, which is whatever the password is. In this case, is the HP. Right mouse click, and if you go File and Data, there is something called option called Encrypt. Click on that, and it will generate encrypted password for you. Every time you do it, it will generate a different number, but it will be associated with the original password. So that's the basic idea of encryption, to protect your password from others to view. So all you have to do, paste it here, and it should actually replace the HP. And make sure when you use the encrypted password, you set to set secure method. Is that what you want to get cleared on, Ethiop, or something that's not clear? Let me know. Okay, yeah, run the test and see if it actually works. So far our test case was to the login with a valid username and password, right? And our test steps, the first step was to enter username entered, and actual results, it was okay, entered. The expected actual is basically the same here for both of these cases. So we can just copy and actual, and we can say, okay, these steps actually passed, right? Passed, and whatever you see on the spreadsheet is the manual approach, and on the UFT is the automation. So we have another step we actually did in the when we did the launch the application, we clicked on OK button, right? I think so. We have to say enter password. Third step we had was to click OK, WPF button, right? I think, is that what is it? Click OK, WPF button, and then, or you can say just a button. Clicked on OK, and then clicked on OK, right? And that was also passed. And then last step we had was to basically step number 4, which we did, verify if the user was able to log in. That was our description of this. So basically the verify, in this case we can say verify John successfully. Is spelled successfully correct. Verify John successfully logged in. John logged in, right? and that step also passed. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 steps to log into the user, or we can just say open instead of putting all this, all this info, we just for the description, because these are all the same, we can say login as well. Either way it works. So just for to give you a little explanation on this, so that's why I put it in there. And then we can say our entire, if let's say if we want to fail something, let's say John, the last step is failed, right? Let's say, so let's fail it and see how it actually how you're going to apply in the manual approach and the automation, right? So let's close everything, and let's say I'm just giving it, instead of John, I misspelled something, or I put a invalid username. Let's see what happened in our test. Let's run it. So okay, so we gave invalid username and it's saying login failed, and you see it went to the last step. Let's go back to our report, and it tells where it failed, which step actually, which action it failed, login, right? Now if we want to see the test flow, we can view where it actually failed, and it will give us detail of the information to see. Okay, so our first action was to launch application. That's our first action, or you can say first test case. Open the browser, open this, locate the wherever the application is and run it. And we should be, the way we validate, make sure the user name field actually populate, and once it's populated, it said okay, successfully logged in. Now we went to the login, and our set username was correct. It accepted the value, because even I tried the wrong value, but the field it actually accepted in here, right? It took it. So the only way to know if it's failed or not is the way we provide the details information, where we put it, validation point, or you can say checkpoints, or the condition, your logic, where it actually tells, okay, if John Smith exists, then give me a pass, or else it just tell me if it's failed. So we went there, we entered John Smith, and we try to see if John Smith exists, right? So if you look at the details, John Smith dot exists, and the description saying object does not exist. So that means it never exists by name. And then it gives us the details where it came from, all the information we need. And then our checkpoint is saying, okay, run error. John was not logged in. So that's how we know our application failed, right? And then we can do a bunch of other things. We can say, okay, take the screenshot if it's failed and send it to the team, email it to. Those things will come to when we develop our framework. All right, so far, we did 2 test cases, one login and one to, open the browser. And as of now, I want to hear from you if all of you are clear with this before we move on to developing more test cases and then add, new features into it. Anyone? Akhtar, Alamgir, you guys are okay so far? Gahor?
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to the next one. So after the login,
Okay.
John, and then HP, what do we do? What can we actually, looking at the application or a design document, what would be our next test case if we were to write a test case in a manual way?
Manual way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call? So we're going to see the John Smith, the name, and then
we already did. We verified that John exists or not. We did that. we did two things.
Select flight from?
We can do number of things. We can either book a flight, search the order.
Okay. Select city or something or.
Okay, let's do a book a flight. Let's say our next test case is book flight, right? Let's go back to our spreadsheet and go to the test case. And someone type the test case here, please. To book a flight, what would be the test case?
S03.
Okay, just give a description. Would be book a flight. The user should be able to book a flight.
Yeah.
Anyone writing here? Let me know who is writing.
I believe right.
Yeah, user should be able to book a flight. Okay, and what would be the steps? So if we go back to the steps, then
F4.
So Selena is helping me writing the test cases. So she will continue because and while she's writing, I'm gonna go back to the screen and I'm just gonna add the object repository and I'll come back to it. So let's open the object repository. Okay, I didn't save the previous one, so let's save it. Now I'm going to add it. Remember, this is a shared object repository. The way we did it, we went to the local. Let me show it again in case you forgot. And we added and we did go to the file. Whatever we added in the object, local object, we went to file and then we click on export, and then it created the shared object repository, right? So then we actually went in associate our object repository. So once Selena is done with her test case, I will start, adding those into the object repository. Selena, so what would be the first step? Our description. The description is just say book a flight for all of them.
Are you using me as an example, or am I really helping you?
You can help me. I mean, it's also okay. Book a flight. I'm writing also, yes. So the first step I will be doing is going to be, if we go back to our application, is select the departure location. I think this is a departure. So let's add it, the departure. Click on add, and it's going to say, okay, from city. It's saying from city. Oh, okay. So we can leave it as it is, or we can say departure to make it more, we can just change it departure. And so if we highlight it, it's going to highlight the departure location. And then we also need the arrival location, and which is our to city, it's saying. So we can say arrival. I'm looking at the airport point of view. When you go to the airport, you basically, if you're leaving the country, you go to the departure, right? And if you're picking up someone, or you go to your destination, that is arrival. That's the way I'm putting it. So it looks more, realistic name. Okay, then once we select this, and then these are my steps. So select the departure, select the arrival, and then select a date, to which date I'm going to take my flight to, and then click on the here, and then I say departure date, or just say date. So these are basically my steps, right? As if from the Excel spreadsheet, but here, this is how it's look. So now I select the date. Now, let's say, we want to select a class, which class we want to go. So in here, it's enough we have three options, right? And we can, later on, we can data drive these things, by selecting different value. So let's select that field first, and by default it's the economy, and then click on plus and click on add, and it creates the class. Then how many tickets we want to take. Add. So I'm adding one at a time. I don't think this is the efficient way of doing, but the best way to do is, if you want to add everything in the page showing it. So best thing you can do is, instead of doing one at a time, it's just, taking so much time to do one after one. So far I did like, 1, 2, 3. It took me some time to do that. But how can we actually enhance that, like, make it more efficient to, instead of adding? So we can click, anywhere on the page. Let's say I clicked on here. Instead of selecting the last child object, so I can either select on parent object, which is Windows, the entire page, basically, and then click on OK, right? And if I click on OK, it gives me an option calling define object filters, and it has like 4 different options. Select objects only, right? Default object types, all objects, or you can select like whatever you want to select. You can select this, but let's leave it all objects. We want to capture everything on this page showing here, right? It's gonna basically take everything is available. So let's click on OK, right? And once we click on it, will add all these objects available on this page. And let's save it. And sometimes we don't know what is the WPF image too. So let's click and highlight it, see what it actually tells me. Then we can relate. So it's telling me this little drop down, right? And let's select the other one. It tells me this is like a calendar box image. This is image. These are all images. And then if you click on $sign, where does this $sign come from? How do I know? So you have to highlight it, and it tells me, okay, it's a $sign coming from here. Similarly, you can select anything you want, and it tells me, okay, if I want to validate if this text is showing here, I can do that by using this object, just to make sure I check that. You can enhance the entire page by using all these objects here, whatever we added on this page. So let's leave it as it is. So let's click on the cursor, make sure it is actually still highlighting. So we are going to use the departure, arrival, date, the class, ticket, and find the flights, right? We want to look for the flights available on the date we are looking for. So let's highlight which one is the find flights here. How do I know? Because I added everything. It's saying right here, right? Find flight. It makes sense. Let's highlight it. If it highlights, okay, it does. Okay, now we can do, since we covered this already, a few times, I'm going to create another action. My action name is going to be book a flight, right? So if I right click on my test, which is flight booking test, right? Click on add, call to a new action. And this time I'm just going to say book a flight, right? And then I can give some little description from my manual test cases. If anything done, book a flight from, let's say description, book a flight from London to what area you want to do it. Let's do something. We can say, okay, Paris to London, maybe, right? Just someone is coming from, or we can say anything is here. We can Los Angeles, right? Because that's where we're gonna fly from to. Let's go in this summer. Let's go to wherever you feel like you want to go in the summer. Just make it fun of it, when you do it. So it's gonna be like interesting for you.
San Francisco.
Oh, you want to go to San Francisco? That's your plan for this summer? Okay, nice. So sometimes you don't want to use like if it's Mrs. Spells, you can use the object spy to collect the name. So we want to fly from book a flight from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Francisco. Is that correct? Let me check, double check if I correct.
Cisco.
Cisco, yeah, right? C. All right, so that was my action I created. Now I got my info here. All I have to do is change few things. 04, we can say, let's say we develop this test, since we did it same day, it will be different date, 2018. And my function purpose would be book a flight, right? All right, user is gonna be, you can provide a, user would be John, right? John Smith, or whatever username you want to provide. So now, since we already added, all the objects in the object repository, so we have it saved. So now we know, everything is in the object repository. We already saved everything. So let's close the object repository. We know everything we have in the object repository. So how do we actually, instead of dragging and dropping, there is another way we can say, we can get the info. So let's say if we type WPF, right? And just, what was the name, WPF? Was it WPF? The application start with WPF Windows, right? We can start type it here. Let's say, and if I say bracket, does it give me any option?
You need to put a
Can anyone
dot.
tell me? Okay, if let's go back to the login, right? So if I say, here, and then I say it's automatically give me the HP flight booking application, right? But why didn't it give me in the, book a flight? Why didn't it give me? I mean, I write the exact same thing. I put a, parenthesis here. Why didn't it, give me that thing?
You need to put the with Smith.
Try to look at here, see if it gives you anything. Try to view in this place, see if you see anything different than previous test. Try to use that as a reference to see why I'm not seeing what I saw it in the application or other one, these two. But why I'm not seeing the, the parent object property, which is WPF window, is not showing.
Because
I
you
think
didn't,
yeah. Go on.
because you didn't import shared repository on this section.
Anyone else?
It's the same. I think you didn't associate the shared object repository.
Okay. Does it make sense to others? I mean, I did not associate my. If you go back to the associate object repository, right? So let's go back to the associate object repository. So resource, associate object repository. What difference is showing here? This it's saying available actions. I have it here, and then associate actions. So if you look at here on the left, I have the booking flight, and it has only local object repository, right? And then launch application, I have local, and then I have the share, right? So I'm good with this one, right? This one is good. And same thing goes to our login. This one is also good. This one is good. But this one, the flight booking is not good. I don't have anything in the local. Everything I added in my shared object repository. So what I have to do, I have to associate this object in order for me to identify. So what I can do is move this to associated actions. And that's how I will be able to recognize those objects. So let's do it. Let's move in to the right. So I associated all this, and now you see it doesn't show anything else. As soon as I click on OK, watch what's on the left side. What happened here in this? Just watch what happened, right? You'll see the difference and why I did not get it. So if I click on OK, does it make sense now? Those who did not understand. So now if I say, okay, move my parentheses here. If I click another parenthesis, automatically tells me it recognizes, okay, WPF window has only one parent object, which is HP flight booking application. Now I can start writing my code. Like if I write, it will give me everything available inside this object repository because I already associated. So all these things I have it. Anything I want to use it, I should be able to utilize this. Okay, so let's start writing based on what is showing on the application. So the first thing is select a departure. So what we do, start. What would be my method I'll be using? If I want to select, and how do I know which one to use? So I have a bunch of stuff here, a bunch of methods is showing. It started from the list goes on and on, right? Can someone tell me what I have to select here in order to select the Los Angeles or the any name I want to select? What would be the, we remember we did something called web list.
Draft.
We did something called web list when we did deal with the web browser, which is web, and it was something like list, right?
I think
Something
it
like
will
that,
be
list.
like WPF list, something like that.
Right. Okay. Let's go back to our objective and see what is the class actually being used. So sometimes if your object repository is bigger, like sometimes it's hard to find out where the object is coming from. One thing you can say, you can use this locate in repository. So basically, if you click on this little like circle here with something in there, if you click on this and if you go to your application, it's like the opposite of highlighting, right? It's like the way we highlighted. Now we are doing opposite. From the application, we want to find it inside our object repository. We want to tell, okay, where it's coming from. So it's saying departure, right? Now it tell me. Now if I highlight it, basically, so I can do it from the object repository. I can highlight it from the application. But if I don't know where is in my object repository, I can do this next one and basically select something from the application and click OK, and then it will take me the one actually showing in the object repository. So which objects to use. So in our case, we did something called departure, right? So if you go, it's saying combo box, right? Just tell me like a combo box. So let's see if we have the option saying combo box. Let me leave that open, the side by side. So we are actually everything in the. So let's do one at a time. Okay. So WPF. If I type WPF and it's sorted out, basically filter down, what can I use? It's saying there is a button, calendar, combo box. So since we know that it's showing on the list, it's showing the WPF combo box. So we will be using the class that is available. Okay, WPF and control space. So let me select this combo box, and then if I say parentheses here, it's gonna give me like couple of options, right? So we already filtered. This is like a filtering process. You're saying, okay, I'm just going to use combo box right now. So in the combo box, we have only, if you look at your object repository, how many we have? 1, 2. You see that it gives the little icon here. Let me highlight it a little bit so you'll see that the icon right here. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We see the 4: arrival, class, departure, and then we have the number of tickets, right? These are the options we have. And if similarly, when we did it, selecting is basically the same thing available. You're not going to get anything more than what is inside your object repository. And then now we'll be selecting the departure, and then click close the parentheses. And then here, what I'm doing.
Set.
Is this a set?
Click.
I think it's click.
Click. Okay. Anyone else? Shamam.
Yes.
What do you think is it's what I'm gonna, if I want to do it manually, what I'll be doing, because we know we are selecting departure, which is the this one, right?
Right.
So what will be my method? This is the method I'll be using to perform this transaction. And what is my method I will be using to, if I were to select not Los Angeles, but let's say in our case we are selecting, I think, Los Angeles, right? Is that correct?
I think it's click.
Drop.
Okay, if I say click,
Drop.
click. Sorry. Say click. Okay, if I say click, I mean, okay, let's run it, see what it actually does. Let me see if I, some of you say click, some of you say one of, say click, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move it to something else. Let's say Denver. But my goal is to select, Los Angeles, right? So if you say select, click, right? Run, click. I'm just running that particular line. Is it selecting Denver? I mean, the Los Angeles? It's just clicking on that, that object, which is the WPF combo box, right? Do you remember we did something called browser? Remember on the web page we did something, we have browser, then we had some, name, logical name, then we had page, we did something, and then we had something called web list, right? Web list, and then we had something, some property that recognized, then we had something, we did something to select, right? Or, but it's not going to be always same, method you'll be using. So you have to kind of, do some research on your end. Basically, get familiar with lot of, you have to use lot on the object spy. Basically, this is the main feature you'll be using to identify any object on the page. So you will have to get used to it using every time. Every time you don't understand something, just highlight it. See what are the options I have. What can I do with this? So it doesn't have HTML tag. It doesn't have anything. It doesn't tell me like what can I do here. Just give me like, okay, we have a selection, which is by default selection Denver. We have a text Denver, and it is a visible, and it's a combo box, and it has some name, some, dates. These are all properties and their values. And then it tell me all the, all the available names. So let's go back to our select here. Let's see if we have a select, if we can actually use the select method. Selects an item from the combo box, right? So that option is available. If I want to manually do it, as a manual tester, I will be clicking on that drop down list, plain English, and selecting one of these items. Same thing we are doing it here. Dot select, right? This is the method. And if you select this, it's saying select an item from the combo box. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then you provide, it tells me if you hit space, it's saying select item. Select an item from the combo box. So what would be the item name? Give me an item. Let's say we're saying Paris, right? Right here. So let me run this, see if Paris gets, selected or not. Okay, so this works. I mean, this portion is works. We can provide any variables we want to select. So for now, we are just going to select our expectation was to provide Los Angeles, right? This is our first selection, and then similarly, we want to do the same thing for the other one, San Francisco. So what we will do, WPF, and then object is there already. I can just provide dot and P. And so now tell me, if I want to do the San Francisco, who can give me the answer? Akhtar,
Yes.
what should I do here? If I want to select
combo box.
Combo box, good. Yeah. So if I just select that and parenthesis is gonna give me an option. So now what would be my
Arrival.
the name of the object? Arrival. Okay. Dot. Then what I do here?
Don't use select. No.
Select, right? Because I'm selecting the list from the arrival, whatever the list available. So in my case, what we are selecting in our test case?
Los
we
Angeles.
Said we want to Los Angeles. We are departing from Los Angeles, and we are going where? So you provide that name. Yeah, from this list, right? So we can say San Francisco. San Francisco. Okay, so that's done. We did the 2 items, right? We're not gonna run it now. We're gonna run it after the. So now next item is to select the class. So who's gonna help me? Alamgir. Are you there, Alamgir? Right, looks like Alamgir's headphone or microphone is giving a problem or something. Let me know when you're in. Tasneem, can you tell me what I have to write to select the class? We're gonna take the first class today. I mean, if we want to fly. All right, yeah. What would be the if I want to write that code?
It'll be similar, the beginning.
Okay. Beginning is similar. Let's do the beginning, and then what would be
Combo
Combo
box.
Combo box. Okay.
The class.
Basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And then we just say okay first, right?
Yep.
FIRST first. Make sure you don't spell it incorrect, because if it's incorrect spelling, it will fail. Okay, so we did the select our class. Now we need to do the tickets, number of tickets. Let's say our whole team is going to visit, San Francisco for a training for this application. So we all going to go, right? So we have like about 11 people on the team. So we'll buy 11 tickets today. All right, so WPF, and which is that a combo box?
Yes, combo box.
Okay, so number of tickets, right? This is what we do. So now we will say the same thing, select, and we'll say 11, right? All right, next thing. Okay, who's gonna answer that? Let me see. Gohar, I want you to tell me what I will do the next thing. So I selected the name, departure, arrival, date. I didn't select the date, right? Did I?
No, you haven't.
No.
Date comes after the arrival, right? So WPF window and then dot WPF and
Calendar
is it a combo
probably.
box?
I think it's web calendar.
Oh,
It looks like a calendar, right? It makes sense, right?
yeah.
So, and calendar has only one. As soon as I click the bracket, I mean, it gave me the date. And the way we know that if we can highlight it, it's gonna take us to the object repository and view the object, and we can just highlight it, right? So we know this is it. Makes sense. And dot. Now, are we selecting anything on the calendar or are we typing? What we doing here? If we are to do manually.
Manually we are typing, right?
Typing. So what method I should be using?
Integer, right? No?
Integer?
Oh no, sorry. That
I think it will be
The
select.
value could be integer. Okay. Select. Do I have a select statement? Yeah, select method here. I do, right? But what I'm selecting, do I have the select? This one I use the select. So do I have a select here? Can I select here anything?
yeah, you could, yes. It's saying
Okay, who can answer? Yes. Is this
Wait.
correct? Is select is the correct method to use in this case?
If we click, then click.
date, select.
If you have said set date, so set date. He said set date. So basically, he's referring to saying set method. That means you type, right? We can type it because we don't. In Java, you have something called type, Selenium, if you're working on. But for the VB script, you have to use something called, if you want to type something, you have to use the method called set. And basically, what you can do dot, if you said set date, and there is a method called set date, right? When we did it for the browser application, like a mortgage calculator, we only had the option called set. In this case, because of the application is designed in a different technology, these are the methods available to use. So sets the date or date range of a WPF calendar of the date or the picker, whatever. So let's select the date, right? And the date. So what would be the number here?
15, right?
Okay, when are we going to San Francisco for training? So our training starts on Monday because work day. So you have to look at the calendar, kind of say, okay, Monday is 16th. So let's move for the 2 weeks training to Francisco. 04/16/2018, right? Can I say that? So we did already like 3 things. So let's move this value, see if our test actually doing the correct stuff. And I'm just moving all this value. Let's move the economy and yeah, let's run it, see if actually it works. So we have select this, then the date, but class 11 passengers. What would be the next step in order to complete the booking? I mean, not to complete the booking, basically find the flight.
Sam.
The WPF, yeah.
Yeah, why the set date is not highlighting the blue color?
Why? Because it's the class of the Win calendar, WPF calendar class. It's inside. If you go to Java, you will get it more clear understanding. It's a part of the calendar WPF calendar class, it's a method using from that class. So it's like inside a class you have multiple methods. That's the one we are using as a set. That's why. Make sense? Okay, now if next thing I will be doing is we click on find flight. So Gohar, you tell me what I have to do here. Brother Gohar?
Yes, Shamsuddin. Hello?
What would be the method I'll be using to click on this find flights here? If I want to click on here, what I will be selecting from this? Is that a button or calendar or edit box?
They are not clear to me, Shamsuddin.
Okay, so yeah. Anyone else can help?
Image, no? It's not image, no. And a button sounds good.
Button makes sense, right? Anyone else? Are you all agree? It's a button. Okay, let's do something. Remember I told you, have it using of object spy. Let's see what it does. Okay, click on find object spy, and it actually tells here, right? WPF button, right?
Okay.
And if you go to the class name, it's saying WPF the class, right? Button, and it has the value button. So it already tells us what to use. So we can utilize that and say, okay, this, and then how many buttons we have in the entire page, because we added the entire page. We have find flight, we have okay, we have find flights, right? And what we do with the button? What action we do?
Click.
When we click, right? Yeah. So we click, right? Now, okay, so we did so far a lot of work here. Okay, let's run it, see what happened. All right. So let's move it a little bit on this side, and then we're gonna move this here, right? So this is our application, and so when we search by the date, and it gave us the flight information, price, the time available, time it will defer from the Los Angeles, and what time it will arrive there, and it has a date and which flight we will take, right? All this information is available. As you see it when you book for flight, all this information is given to you. So we can use this as a baseline, and then if you scroll it down, it gives all this information. So when you play with this application, you'll know, what other options. So now we need to see if we can actually select a flight, right, and then book it. This is basically our test is to book a flight, right? So let's add the objects to this. We don't have any objects here, do we? The way we know is another way to tell. Remember, I showed you to click on that icon right here, right here, this one. Open it up. Okay, sorry. All right. Yeah, I mean this little circle right here. This tells where in the object repository all these properties is residing in my object repository, right? So if I click on that and click on here, it's gonna say write date, grid, and some name. So let's click on OK. It tells object repository cannot locate in this object repository, right? In the object repository. So this object is not in the object repository. We never added this. So what we can do a couple of things. We can add here by clicking on plus sign and just click anywhere and get all the objects in the web table, right? I mean, on that page. So let's click on OK and basically do the similar thing. Select all objects. and click OK. So we added all these objects. Now, what we have added? Anything is not similar to before? Flight from, I see the Los Angeles, hello, John, and a lot of stuff in there. So let's click on like, flight here. See if it's actually showing. Okay, it tells flight. All right. So now we need to select some of these objects from here. But what is this? What does it do? Let's highlight it. So it highlights the entire wave table. This is like are you guys familiar with the wave table or something that's like a table type? Like remember, in the spreadsheet, we have a table, right? In the table, basically, I can put like all the information. I see it here. I can bring everything from here to my wave table, right? Bring it here. So I can say price, and then I can say the location. All these tags on the top is showing. I can bring it from my wave table to my spreadsheet. So basically, this is a table. This is a wave table. This is like an Excel sheet table, and this is a web, wave table, wave, and we can get those data and put it into our spreadsheet. But we're not going to do it immediately. But we need to understand how we can actually do this. So let's get the info from the table. So we know we can highlight it entire table, and if we highlight it, it gives me from the first row to the last row. Let's see if it actually still hide the one in the bottom, right? So it does, right? It actually tells all this. So we need to select a flight. Which one we need to select? So let's drag it here. I mean, drop it in our line. It tells a select a cell, right? Now we can do, it tells us the rows and columns. So let's give a row number. Remember, we had a row 1, 2, 3, and goes in there, and the top to bottom is say column 1, column 2, column 2, 3, 4. Same thing goes for the wave table. I mean, if we go to our application, so we have a row from the top to bottom. These are columns, sorry, column, and then these are rows, right? So we can get those values in there. So let's get at least one value, see if we can actually get it to work. So which column you want to read? Which column you want to basically get the select? So let's say I say, okay, let's do one first row, first column, right? I can say first row, first column, just a generic. So I'm expecting, it should click something on there. Let's just run that line. So if I want to run that specific line, all I have to click run from here or just debug from here. If you do a debug, it creates a breakpoints automatically for you. And it's saying syntax error. Run cannot due to a syntax error. Okay, let's look at the error, what it actually has in there. So if you press Control F7, it tells you cannot use a parenthesis when calling a sub. So basically we have to remove this parenthesis from here. Okay. So now Control F7, it's saying syntax is valid. That was a syntax error. So now just run that line. Did you notice anything?
Yes.
If you go to your application, it's selected and it got, this one highlighted. So let's go back and run it again. I mean, it is grayed out right now. So I said from the table, WPF table, which is a flight date grid, I can rename it my flight or something. This name can be changed, right? And then I just select a cell. Cell is individual cell. It's like you go to, these are cells. Each one of these are cells. These are cells. These are cells. All these. From A, these are column. These are row. Same thing. This is a column. This is a row. and each one of these inside this table are cell. Like $119.80 is a cell. This is a specific cell. This is a cell. So if I click on any cell, let's say I click on here, it highlight it enable the select flight button, right? If I select this one, it will do that. So we are just selecting the first column and first row. So this is the cell we are selecting. First row, first column, first row, and this is the cell we have selected. So if we say, okay, select the second one, we can do that, whichever. Let's say our row would be 2, right? So row is 2, column 1. So basically, we are going to select this one. If we continue increasing our row, it's going to go on and on. And if we change the row, the column is going to go to the second one, right? Third one, fourth one. So we can, control from here which one to select. So let's leave it as 1 for now. And then, so we already selected the first one, right? Now is the select. So we know we are going to select the first one, whatever it is. But we can change the selection based on the data available, whichever we want to select. We can select this time or this
Sam,
flight. Yeah.
I think when you did 1 and 1, it selected the second row. I think I don't know. It is some sort of array, I guess. Then you might have to put 0, 0. I don't know. I mean, I probably didn't look it right. Can you run it again, please?
Okay, so I'm putting as a default this one, right? 16.
I can see it. Did you put 1 and 1?
Yeah, I put 1 and 1. So let's see what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's selecting the second row.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you guys remember the arrays, right? Okay, good point. Okay, those who did not understand, the rows and columns start like a. Okay, let's move into the row number 0. If it start from 0 and run it again, see if it actually change. Run from the some web table actually start from 1, some don't. So depending on how you actually use, so you can change based on that. So in this case, it starts from 0, starting as an index, like starting from 0, which is a 1, and 1 is 1. So we can say 0, 0, and it will select the first one. So let's try changing to 0, 0 and run it again. All right. So we selected the first one. Now is the time to click on here or select the flight, right? Okay. So what we will do, WPF Windows, and I think you guys are already thinking of all these good points here actually. And so next is gonna say WPF. Typing. Okay. WPF, and then what would be my option here? Can anyone tell me if I want to click here?
Table, no?
Is it inside a table, this one?
Which one?
So I already selected my first row, right?
Okay.
Which is 0, 0. It starts from 0 as like a first. If you remember the array, that was the first one we highlighted. So now I already selected the first one, which is the first cell, this. Anywhere you click, it's going to click. And then now I want to select flight. Click on select flight.
Web button.
Button? Just the button gives me an option. Is that all available here? Right?
Yes.
Select flight. Makes sense, right? This is look like a clicking on a button, not the web table. Let's select this. And then I can say dot, and what would be my method would be here if I want to click on select. Select, right? Is that select?
Looks like. Set.
If I want to click on the select flight, am I going
Then
to,
you
what
click
would be
on
my,
it.
I'll
Click.
click on it, yeah. Basically, click on an object, right? Yes. Okay, so let's go back and clear all this. Just put something else in the startup and then see if we can run our entire test. But before we do that, but do you think it looks nicer here? I mean, does it look nicer, neat and clean, readable? Because we have to kind of go back and forth this way, move our cursor, like looking at it. What I have to do here? Apply something here to make it neat reader.
Apply the width
Just
statement.
like right. So we can say go edit format
Alt W.
or Alt W, Control W, right? And hit OK, right? Now it's more readable, right? And I don't have to go back and forth left and right. All I have to just save it, and then if I run just this action, if you click on play, it's gonna run all the actions. So I just want to run only this action. So run from and right click on action here, running, and selecting the flyers, and we are buying 11 tickets, which is default is there, so it's gonna be, and then okay, what did it do? Now we have okay flight details. You know, it's saying we are going to LAX, and these are airport code, LAX and SFO, and then we are departing this time to this time, and our flight number information, number of ticket, and the class we are taking is the first class, and we have to provide name of the passenger name. I think it gives me
Why is
only
the
one
total
passenger
on
name.
there like super crazy number?
Oh, the 3,953.
Okay, we picked 11 people. Never mind.
And also, this is
So
also first class. That's why.
all of us are traveling for the training. So. All right. So now, yeah, do I have this inside the object repository? If I next thing I have to enter a passenger name and place an order, right? That will complete our booking. So I mean, do I have that in there? I mean, the passenger name in my object repository. So let's see what is in there. So dot W P F, and is this a web edit? I mean, is this edit box? I mean, can I type here, or can I select here, or can I do something? What can I do here?
Edit.
Edit. Okay, let's see what we have. So we have the edit. If we want to do the edit, we only have inside our object repository available options are password and username. But here it's saying that password. So let's do a spy and see, what it actually tells us. And it's saying passenger name. And if we open our object repository, this is our object repository open, and so this is seems like there is a pencil icon on the left to the object name. It tells like, okay, so how many pencil icon we have? 1, 2, and username and password. We don't have that, so we can add it, right? If I click on add, did it add to my object repository? See that it's saying it's added to the flight booking, book flight, and local. It's saying local. I didn't select where to add it, so that's why it added. Now, if I want to go back to my object repository, I still not going to see the pencil here. I just added. It's not there. So where it's actually going? It went to my local, right? So let's go back to our local and click on here. See, it's added here. We don't want to add it in the local. We want to be able to share with the team. So let's delete the entire thing. Basically, click here and delete it. So if I want to add the object to my specific location, all I have to do is select which one I want to add. So let's see if this is the right object. So you can make it bigger. So you can select which object you want to use it. So in our case, we created a flight booking object repository, and if we click on plus, Now we should be able to see it in the in here. Now we have 3 of them. So let's highlight it, and it's in there. So now if I save it, if I go back here, first parenthesis, now it gives me 3 options, right? And I can select this. So what I will be doing here, if I want to enter a name of a traveler, if I want to enter a name of the traveler, what would be my method or action, whatever you would like to call, but I'll be using a method, some sort of method that will allow me to enter the name of the passenger.
It,
I'm going to type.
Type. Remember, type is not an option available for some places. Is that it? Can I type it here? Let's see.
You could type
Okay.
name.
Okay, what else we have? Probably I think we can use set here, because the .NET actually has also set here. We can also type probably. Both options are available here. So let's try with a, type. Let's try with a type, because since we see that option is saying type the specified string in the object. So let's use the passenger name. Who is going to be first passenger? Let's say my name is going to be there. And so I'm just, in order for me to run it, I have to go back and basically go back to the previous line. But if I want to run this line, can I run a specific this line from here? If I want to run only this line, can I run it? Anyone? Is there an error, or it will run it?
It will run.
you run it.
Yeah, but in the web application, it won't run. But in this case, it's actually recognizing automatically before. But in the web application, you have to kind of highlight this and then run from the with statement. But in the .NET WPF, I think it sounds like you can run a specific line. So I can type here, right? Let's try the set here. Let's move the my name to, say, Akhtar, right?
Okay.
Just run and see if I can type set that also. Okay, I'm just going to run this line, right? Right mouse click, run from the step, it will run it. If you say debug from the step, it will create a breakpoint and wait for you to move. Let's put the second option now. Oops. Where did it go? Okay, so it created a breakpoint, started from the first line. And okay, go back, move this all down so you can see the application. Now I say set actor. It is still, so these are the options we can use. So whichever you prefer. Let's use set for now, because we have been using set. We haven't implement type here. Okay, so after that, what I do after entering, but it only asked me one passenger. I don't know why it didn't ask me the other passenger name. Maybe this is how the application was designed, but this is a bug here. If it did not ask me for 11 passengers name, so there you found a bug here.
I believe it is. I believe the person who booked a ticket is taking the name only. The person who is responsible for booking or paying money, only one person.
Or maybe go ahead and click on order. Maybe it'll ask you for the next passenger.
Could be.
All right, let's see what happened. We'll because we are new. We all are new. We just given an application to test and do automation. So we are learning the application as we are going. So it will give us what options available. Let's go to the next option. So do I have any of this button added into my object repository?
No, sir.
Okay, so I have select. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons here, but I don't see anything added as a order. So let's add it. Click on it, order, so we can add it, and it got added. And we can just drag it and drop here, and then we don't need this because we already started with that. So it already, when you drop it, it gives you the method you can use, right? So if I want to click and run just from the step, just click on that. It should click on order. Okay, it's telling me order number completed 87, right? It didn't ask me the passenger name or anything. Okay, we'll learn the application as we go, but so how do I know? Let's say, maybe it's asking for 1 passenger. Forget about the 11 passenger for now. We'll figure out if it's a bug or not. Then we'll report it to HP, let them know to fix it. We found a bug here. All right. So next thing we need to verify whether my order is completed. So the way we do it is how do I know if my order is got here? I have name here, whoever logged in, and the passenger name I gave the actor, and my total was there. But how do I know my order is completed?
It's the order
Who can
87
tell?
completed. The screen.
Okay. So let's add that, right? This one, it will tell us, okay, by looking at this, it gives us, okay, order is completed here, and that tells us, okay, if we successfully completed our order or not. Okay, so let's add that into our object repository. So where is our object repository? Okay, it's here, right? We have object repository, we have a spy here. We can directly add it to the object repository, or you can just spy it and add it as we do it. So let's spy it here, and we say win objects, and we know this is where we're adding. So click on add and save it. And so let's close the spy, and then we said this is order added, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now make it bigger. Let's do some stuff. So we don't need this line, right? We all understand that we don't need this first line because we are already initiated our the home page to this. Now I have this line. I click on order, and I want to make sure this order is get clicked. So what I can do, I have to provide some conditional statement, something we did it before, right? Like same as here. And after we do that validate, we'll take a lunch break for half an hour, and then we're not going to go more than 2:30 today because it's summer time. I think as people want to go outside, and so if you want to continue, I can continue as long as you need. But let's finish up this test first. So what I have to do in order to verify this order actually successfully completed? Give me an answer. What can I do to verify?
To check the order 87 completed, to verify this text.
Okay, let me give it a shot. You can use if and else statement, and within that if and else statement, you can say that, okay, I can see the image, it says order 87 completed. So probably use a bitmap image, something, I don't know, the format of the image. And you can capture the image and just, print it or show it on the run result or something like that.
Anyone else?
Doesn't it supposed to give you any like a confirmation number, something like that? It just say 87.
So I just captured that text. It's saying 87, right? Number. If you go to your object repository and highlight it, it's already highlighted order number 87 completed. So I know this text is highlighting. After I complete my order, I should be able to see the order 87 completed, right? So what I can say, as Amit just said, we can provide if else statement, or we can just capture those value, whatever on the web page is showing, we can get that and print it and compare it with our whatever data we have. So let's do a make sure these things is stored up. We can provide a if else statement. If just make it simple. We're not gonna go like complex stuff at this moment. Just if this exists, I can say let's wait 5 seconds max, and then I can say if this exists, then I can close this. I don't need that. Then I can say okay, report something, right? So reporter dot report event, and I can say if this exists, I can say my test is passed, and then I can provide test step is book flight, book okay flight, right? And then we can say details. What can I say? Successfully booked my flight, something, right? And I can just copy this, and so if it doesn't exist, I want to fail the test, right? I want to make sure it fails. What can I say now? I can just paste it here, but what if I want to fail it? What I have to say?
You mean
I can say failed to book my flight, right, or something. But is there anything else I need to change?
It should be make
make
fail.
fail? You mean? And yeah.
Anyone? Which one?
Make fail.
Okay, good. And then comma. This is the syntax of the reporter.report event, and save it. So now I completed my task, right? This is my entire test for the booking a flight. So let's save it and run the entire test. See where we actually fail. But do you think anyone can think if I run this test, do you think the entire test is going to pass or is it fail?
It's going to fail, right? Because wouldn't the order number change?
Exactly. Let's see if that is the case. Let's see. I think you are right. Yeah, it should fail. So let's run the entire test, and we are logging in as Johnny. Okay, we didn't change that, so it actually already start failing. So let's close it and fix that also. Not gonna do anything else. So this kind of issue we have to solve it in different way. Let's go to login, and we provide invalid data because previously we wanted to fail it, right? So our username is John, and we provide a password. Let's run it again. And okay, order number 87 completed exist step. That was the steps object exist, and it passed. Everything passed. Why did it pass? Because according to my
we just captured the image and not like the writing that's in it.
okay, all right. So let's go back to our booking and see what we actually added in the object repository, what property we are looking for. So if you look at the property level, it's just saying order completed. That's what it's looking for, right? And nothing else. So let's go to the shared object repository and open up the checkpoints that we had. Order 87 completed. We're just going to remove 87 here, but in here, oops, close that, and okay. Let's highlight it. It's still highlighting, right? So you have to do a couple of things here. Like order completed is showing, but if we are to say plus, and let's say if I say order completed here, right, and save it. Now I have something that tells, okay, I'm looking for this value, which is the object name, the property name text, and I'm looking for 87, right? Click on highlight it, right? So now save it and close it and run it again. See what it actually gives. So we'll know the difference between the previous run and the current run. See if it actually failed. You're logging in.
Password. Saving. Oops.
Now it's saying order 89. See, it's waiting for 5 seconds maximum, and it gave me the report that failed, right? So go back to your results. This test failed. It's saying the book a flight, failed to book my flight.
Right.
It's saying, or we should have changed to, incorrect, we should say incorrect order number or something. Order number, anything you want to say, but to make sense. That is the validation we did, but we'll make it generic after lunch break. Is this a good time to take lunch for all of you? And after that, I think we'll continue more on this test and answer anything you don't understand. Basically, whatever we did, last few weeks, whatever we have been doing it, we covered in a different application, because when you most likely when you work with the UFT, you might encounter some applications. Those are not Windows application, like sitting on your desktop is like an icon, some sort of icon. Like maybe you want to test like OpenOffice, or like if you guys familiar with the QuickBooks has the application Windows, or the application, maybe Bank of America has an app that supports Windows or whatever operating system you use, and those applications should be look like this. And any company you work, even in Bank of America or anything, they have a application those built for only for the user that use in the environment itself. So basically, not the public user, but the internal user. Let's say the bank manager or the tailor, whatever the application they use, those could be a Windows-based application residing inside their Windows. So that's why it is very important to understand this type of application and try to understand what I'm using here, debug it, and try to see what can be changed. So if I keep on running, this test book my flight will always fail, but I need to make it correct. We'll come back to it after after the lunch. And right now is 1:23. Let's take a half an hour break. We'll come back 1:50, and then we'll recap everything, and then we'll end the session at 2:30. And then if anyone needs help after that, we'll do it. Okay.
Can we please come back at 2?
Sorry.
Can we please come back at 2?
2? Yeah, that's also what. 2, we'll come back to, and then we'll go details, make sure we understand everything we covered so far. And this is a complete test of booking a flight, so it's a very comprehensive. So make sure you understand everything. I will come back at 2. Thank you all. back. Let's give another minute and fix some of this stuff. We think select class type. There was some other step we actually completed. We need to complete this 5. Okay, we'll come back to this later. 6 and if anyone wants to volunteer, like, you know, adding all the steps and do that whenever you have a chance, I'll come back to this later. Let's go back to what we actually were doing. Some of you actually had question about, like, I mean, if we actually logically it is passing, yeah. I mean, one of you asked, like, how can we actually make it pass? Because if we are not looking at the number, because number is dynamic, so we have to either change the number or we can do a couple of things. There are a number of ways you can actually make it successful. If we go to our object repository, let's say instead of, you know, 88, we can put some regular expressions. So we have to open our object repository, and then we can do from the object repository, we can do go to the order completed, and if we click on here object repository, and if we click on that constant, we can apply some regular expression. Basically regular expression we can do a number of ways we can apply. And let's say if I say I'm just interested to look at the order completed and I'm not looking at the number. There is one way you can do if you want to ignore number, is third bracket 0 to 9 and close the bracket and then star, and that should also apply and do this.
Sorry,
Let's see.
show me how you got that text box again.
Okay, so this is the object property we was using, right? So if you want to just, you know, because the number 87, 89, then next one is going to be 90, and then, you know, it will increase by number, right? So in order to overcome, I mean, avoid the number, just to make sure the order completed text point is showing up, we just want to check, and everything else we want to ignore. So the way you do it is, let's put it in the here, and if you say, okay, whatever the text before and after, you can leave it as it is, but you want to ignore as providing a regular expression saying, okay, from 0 to 9, whatever number is showing here in between these two, the order and complete, you can apply the parenthesis, third parenthesis, and then 0 to 9, then the star. Basically, it will say any number in between, it will completely ignore that number. We're not looking at it. That's one way of doing it. The other way you can do is, let's say, if I say, okay, I'm just commenting out this, and another way of doing, let's just take this part of the application, because I'm not applying with statement, I'm just putting the entire line. And if you say dot here, there is something called get arrow property. And what get arrow property does, it actually returns the values in the objects showing, which is here application. It will capture this ordered whatever the number, and it will print it out every time you do it. So if we say get arrow property, and then so the way you do it, you have to go to spy, object spy, and click on that here in the text showing, and then use the one of the properties showing here that, you know, give us the number. So I see the name actually give us the text that is showing, and also I can use the text. I think these are the two I can use, name and text. So let's use the text. And if I say get arrow property and text, so what it does, it actually take the value from the web page, and if I say print or message box, let's say use the message box, so we can see message box. And since we already have this already started, so we can just say run from the step, and it should print out that value. And once we get that value, so every time if it's the order number 90 completed next time, we can compare with based on what we have. So if we had that, we can say we just want to check if the order completed is there, or if we know our order number in advance, we can just provide that and saying if the order number, whatever the order number equal to this value, then the test should be passed. Yep, does it make sense to you? You want me to give you another example?
It does, yeah. But, I ran the code and I got an error. I'm not sure why, but I'll probably figure it out.
Okay, so like let's say if you go to your object repository, because I already provided the regular expression here, I can I have to go to the shared object repository. So if I go back to my object repository, if I say I'm just gonna remove this entire thing where the order completed. So let's just give me 1 second. Okay, I have to reload my object UFT. It just stopped working. Continue. And okay, so we're just gonna select WPF and click OK. So in the meantime, while it's loading, our next goal, if we can do it today, we'll continue the session tomorrow with the delete. We should be able to delete an order, modify an order if we need to, and search for the order, and make sure we do complete end-to-end testing on this application. So that way you can actually tell when you face an interview, I completed an application end-to-end and created a framework, and will enhance this application, mortgage calculator, and the HR application that we showed. So we'll try to give you a different example and provide a different viewpoint, so you will get the main idea. So I'm just gonna go and open, even though I have it recent open, but sometimes it gives an error. So that was my test, and I'm just going to launch it. So the question is, how can we make it dynamic and make our test pass, right? So if we go to our action, okay, we need to make it organized, because login at the end, and we can do it if we go here, click on here, click on the test. If you double click on the test, these things will come up. So you have a launch application, login, and booking flight. This is the order it's supposed to go. And here I think it looks by the text of the order. We'll come back to that again. So book a flight, and so we were talking about the order completed. So let's open our object repository, shared object repository, and then if we open it, we can enable it. And if I go to the order completed, so if I remove this line, right, like nothing is there. It was when initially we recorded, this is what we had, right? So if I highlight it, it doesn't give me, is the application open? Yeah. Let's move it a little bit to the left and see. It's not highlighting, right? So something is probably got changed, and let's do update from the application. And click on update. Okay, first of all, we need to see if it actually recognizes the objects. Looks like it is not recognize any object, so it could be number of things. So let's run the application. Because we open the UFT, sometimes you have to remember, if your application is open before your UFT, you open, then there might be some hiccup, like you have to troubleshoot. Like if you are trying to spy it, it's gonna say, okay, win objects or something it's not recognizing. I'm trying a couple of those. Akhtar, the passenger name, and just highlighting the entire windows. It's not highlighting the specific text. So the best thing to do is always close your app and launch it after. So basically, you open your UFT, then open the application. So let's do one thing. And so we provided we had the object repository. What is okay? So I'm opening the object repository. Something actually went not right. And if I go back to my order completed, so this is what I originally had. So leave it as it is. If I have this, I should be able to pass my test. The test will pass, right? But I don't want that. I want to make sure, I'm getting the right value every time I run it. So let's run it and see if we can actually, reproduce that order number completed. This time we should be able to see order number 90 was added, right? As you can see, after launching the UFT, I launched the application and it was able to do the task. So, okay, so it's still holding right here, right? So let's go and do some troubleshooting here. So we put a breakpoint over here, and if we go click on it, what do you think will it pass, or can it go to the line 34, or is it going to line 32? Anyone?
It will go to line 32.
Why?
Because on line 31 they are checking order completed. It is actually it. Oh, I think it will not go to line 32. It will go to line 34 because the text inside the object of order completed is not matching with order 90 completed. So it's not exactly same.
Okay. Yeah. So I hear a couple of answers, and someone is saying pass, and someone is saying it's going to go to the. Let's highlight it. So in the object repository, we only have one property, deb name, which is order completed, right? It doesn't have anything that say order 90, right? So if I click on this, it's highlighted. So that means it's recognizing. But if I had something called text, it had the value 90 or 89 or different number than what is showing, then it would fail. But this time it should to the next line and pass the test, right? So now the question is, because every time it changes, we can leave it as this way, because we know we just want to check whether the test is passed or not, or we can just make it more dynamic. Every time it gets the value, we want to print it out, make sure it compares that, and store it, or do whatever you like to do with that. So now it's saying order completed, because this text is there. It will always, even the number change, it will always look for order and completed, these two texts. If I say go plus, and I have a bunch of properties here, right? I can use. One is this is the one we used. Deb path, I think was the Deb name. But I think the best thing to use the name or the text. Is there a text? Okay, text is there, right? Previously we created the regular expression and we said, okay, whatever number in between that, we can just ignore those numbers from 0 to 9 and dot star, which is a wildcard, and then just check for the order and complete it. That also can be done. Or another thing you can do, let me make it bigger, and if I highlight it, it changed, right? So if I go in the regular expression, I can say, I just want to say the completed only, right? All I have to say dot star and make sure I apply this check. And that will also do the same. And I can maybe remove this and use something else, see if it actually works. If it doesn't, then we have to use other properties. So the word completed is there, and we just said, okay, we applied the regular expression method saying, okay, if the word completed is there, then just pass the test and don't look at anything else. Similarly, we can say ord or order dot star, and okay, save it. Still going to the order. So it looks for the order text. If the order text presents anywhere in the page and on this window, anywhere else, it would say fail. So let's move something else. Let's say, I'm just gonna, from the application, I'm gonna say, okay, look for the LEX, right? So let's see if we can apply same logic for other text point. So if I want to text LAX, right? This only, I want to highlight this. See if actually it works. So dot star LAX dot star, and you have to have the regular checkpoints and apply and click save. You highlight it. See. So similarly, you can do anything in these windows. Another way of doing it is, let's say I say order dot start. That's the one we are using, right? So, and I can say go back to my script. If I were to say, okay, if I want to enhance my coding, right? Let's say I say dot get arrow. Get arrow is the method to retrieve the property value from the application. So the get arrow method, it will allow you to take this value and store it into a variable or a data table. So we say, okay, get order number, right? str. We can provide a string str order number, right? And I can just provide that string. I can provide that string into my variables declaration and by dim, right? Once you do that, so you have to enhance that coding get arrow property. So let's say dot get arrow, and we know the property we can use text, right? And close bracket. And if I say, instead of saying this line, I can say if just remove this complete line. I'm just gonna just comment it out so you have it. Once you, I'm just putting another condition here. If str string, and I can say there is a method called ins tr, I think. And what it does, if you click on here and then press F1, I want you to go and practice this way. And if you go in there, and it's a method in str function, and you can start, it's basically what it tells is returns the position of the first occurrence of one string with another. So basically, it actually compares in plain English, compares the value if it's there or not. If you scroll it down, it gives us all the optional start point, and then the first string expression being searched, and the string being searched for, second string, and it will give you whether the return value is more than 0 or not. If it's 0, whatever the return value, it will pass. If it's more than 0, we can say, okay, if we know the search for, so look, going back, str start string 1, string 2, and compare, right? And let's go back to the all the way to the down. We can actually scroll it down. It doesn't go down anymore. Okay, let's go back to the coding here. So str string, we are looking for the first string, which is our first string is what? String expression being source, and the second string we are looking to compare with, right? So what we want to compare? Are you guys with me? Lost? Not making sense so far? So basically what I'm doing is INSTR, it means I'm actually comparing with a two string. So I already got my string here, saying get out of property, get the text. So I'm getting this text, and then I'm saying, okay, if this one is string 1 is saying, if I want to say another string is the order. If I say order, if the order text is showing here, completed. Enter, so you see it. Okay, if I'm saying this is the whatever the string you get, if this one is actually showing inside this two tags, I'm just looking for order completed. This two word, if it shows in this whatever value you capture from the application, if it shows here, then my test should pass, right? Else, I'm just gonna say a message box pass, right? Else, this is the new function we never actually introduced before. Fail. So let's say if I want to write syntax error. Let's fix this error. I think, okay, syntax is valid, and run from the debug mode, so we can create a breakpoint. Okay, let's go. And let's see, variable, it's not showing. Okay, so we got the order number 9 completed, str string number, which is this. We got it there, and saying fail. Test is failed because it's not matching. Okay, why it's matching? It's because the order, I think I was putting in it wrong. I was comparing with the completed task with the opposite. So saying the first string would be the string expression being searched, and the expression searching for. Order completed. So can I do this? What it does, let's see. Sure. Okay. So if you go back to that, the function is does, you have to compare it. We didn't compare it. We provide two string, but we did not say, compare it. So this returns the position of the first occurrence of one string with another. So basically, either 0, binary number, or 1 if it's text compare. If it's first text compare, it will say, okay, the first one matches, and then it will provide some value. So we have to, in order for us to complete this, so let's go back to our previous, and If I say if it's str string, we didn't give an value. If it's greater than 0, if the string value returns, like whenever it compares with the capture value, if it's anything matches with this text, it will be more than 0. If it doesn't match and 0, it will return 0. So let's debug it again.
Sam.
Yeah.
Okay, so after int string, right, and the second parenthesis, just put a 1 and then comma and space, then see it works. Not here. Like go to line 34. Okay, before int string, no, before int string, INSTR. Move the go in the beginning. Yeah, put 1.
Okay.
And then comma.
Okay.
Space. Now run it. Now run it. See, it might work.
See, a lot of people
okay, never mind. Just kidding.
All right, no problem. All right, so I'm trying to tell you, like, if you can understand this document, if you have confusion with any function that is built in. So let's look at the function again. Let's make it a little bigger so we can all see. We can start with something and we provide the first string and second string and compare, right? So let's go back to the example here, right? So it's saying look at the example. It's saying it provide a variable. It's saying searching for the same as like my order completed 90 and some value, right? String to search in, and then it's saying search for P. So it's the character I'm looking for is the P, and it starts whatever value. It can be started from the first number, like a 0, from the 0 to whatever number you want. If you don't provide any number, it's a default, basically 0, right? And then you say string searching for. So this in my case, it's gonna be order 90 completed here, and then I'm searching for that completed order, right? Order completed. That's the text I'm looking for. And then I'm saying, okay, if this value is greater than 0 or 9, then it should pass. And the first one, it returns the textual value comparison, and it returns position 4 and returns 6. So that means the P is there in this location. And then second one, I'm also doing the same, and I provided start from 0, and it returns at the 9, position 1, and it returns 9 characters. And from 1, 2, 3, if you count it all the way, it shows here, right? It's right here, the last one. So this is how you actually do it. But let's go back to our UFT and see why it did not pass. Okay, so our str order number, so we know this, and we are searching for this value, and we are saying if the order is number, whatever the return value is less than, greater than 0, right? Let's try to fix this first. So if you go back here, let's copy this and let's test it out. This first one, first few of this here from here. Okay. We go to our function. This is something, the compare text, you will be using a lot. And so this is the code they actually provided, and we have 3 strings, and we are looking to see if my text is actually passed or not. So we actually have this string and this. These are the value we are getting back. So let's control F7, and there is no text. Let's just start a debug from here, right? Debug, and you'll see exactly what I meant. So we got 3 variables created, and then we are putting a string. First string is xp, xy, and then the source for p. These are two tags here, and both of them string. And then we're saying, return something to my position, which is my position, and a textual comparison starting at position 4, right? And return 6. So let's go back and try to understand what it actually does. So what is my for is return 6, and why it's 6? Can anyone tell me? So we started at 4. String searching for. This is the string we are searching for, and then we're saying the comparison is, it has to be 0, right? And then we found that, okay, my position is 6. So let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We are specifically saying, okay.
Is it just returning the position of the very last character found that you're looking for?
The character we are looking for. We are looking for the searching for the character P. And if this P return the position we are looking for, if it's true, then we can say pass. If it's not, then we can say fail. So in this case, it's on the position 6. And then if we go to the second one, we are studying a position at 1. And then we are searching for the string, this, and then we want to make sure in this string, if P is residing in there. And if we go back and it's saying position is 9. And we said 0 is the default. Okay, I have to give you an example in the web-based application in this one, so you will get a clear understanding. But let's leave it, leave it as it is here for now. Comment it out. We'll come back to that later on. But let's move on to this one and complete this text. Okay. So you all understand why I'm getting a pass result for this, right? I just said as long as order text is there, test should be passed, and I can print out that value. So my order number, I can say, okay, I'll just copy this, Control V, and then, okay. And I can also put it else statement if it's not there. So I can actually, it's my bad. Let's move it outside because we didn't want to run it twice. So we have the order number. All we have to do is I can just print my order number. Print this, and I can say status. Right. I can print this here, and I also can print, if it's fail, I also want to print that too. Save it, and you can actually comment out. You don't need this, you can get it from there. So that's one way of verifying. Another way of verifying is, okay, whatever value I got in this property, I can say if my order number equal to dot order, what is the next order we will have? It's going to be 90. So next one is going to be 90. If you know the number, you will just provide here 90 completed. Completed, right? If this value equals to this, then I can say this test is passed, right? Else is fail. These are the different way you can report this box pass. But this is not a good practice because you're hard coding the stuff in here. So you need to kind of either remove it or provide a regular expression. We did it before. Or you can say, okay, in here I can say ampersand, and then is the after order there is a space. Order number between after and before there is a space, right? So I can say one space ampersand, and then I can write this way, and then this value I can put it inside a data table and get it from there, or I can declare it however way I want. I can move that value every time I do it, or I can just say regular expression inside that. That also will work. So these are different examples you can actually perform, but for this test, I think this is the best approach, because we are not actually capturing any data. We are just passing if the order is there or not, or completed is there, or order just completed. These two texts is showing, then our test should be passed. So these are different combinations we can use, and this is coming from either data table. Let's say a data table. We can give a name of the column, say order number. So we create a order number, order number, and we can say order NUMB number, and what should we use is global, right? And basically it will do the same. So syntax is good. So all you have to do, provide 90, and then every time you run it, you have to change the value. If you know in advance what value it would be next time, you just have to provide that value. So and see, let me see if there is any error. So far we created a 3 tests, right? You open, login, book a flight, and let's run it one more time, and we'll answer any question you have before we complete for the today session. But for tomorrow, I want to continue on the delete functionality, search for different orders, and make sure we can read the entire web table that we seen for all the available flights, and then we'll convert how we can avoid the object repository using a descriptive programming, and we introduced in the previous class, so we'll enhance that. And I want to make sure you all understand the object repository concept, how the object's been captured, and it did not, for this one it did not pass, so maybe we create this space or something is not correct. Okay, so that's why it did not pass, and this one is passing. See, the other one. I can fix it now, or we can come back. We can fix that. So let's move this to order completed and equal order space, and we have the data table. So if we were to copy this and data table value, number of different ways you can test it to make sure. So there is something is not correct. So order and completed, else pass. Okay. So I want to make sure if it's actually correct value it's showing. Let's run in one more time. Say 91. We are supposed to get 91. That's there. The next one is going to be 92. Let's put a breakpoint and why it did not pass, and run it again. So anyone has any questions so far as of now? I mean, we did basically cover everything we've been doing last few weeks, and these are like a repeated step we have done so far. I want to make sure you all are up to date, because these are the things you will be most likely doing if you're working with a data tape, I mean the object repository, and next part will be convert this test convert into the object repository, avoid the entire object repository and make it data driven, descriptive. So we will not use anything on the object repository. We'll add it in the in our descriptive programming. We'll define all these objects properly. So I was looking at the order number instead of saying order 92 completed. You know why? Because C is lowercase, as you can see, right? Comparing to the here, does it the text it's equal the one I have? Okay, C doesn't. It's order or the year order. We have a space and we have 92 space completed. It's both of them same. So why it's not passing? Okay, so let's go str order number. Where is str order number? Str order number is here, and that's the other value. So there is something variable is undefined. Okay, that's good. So variable, we did not declare that variable. Again, this is just to test in different way from the data table, just to show how we can actually make more way to check this value. So I defined that variable F7. I don't have any error. I had a breakpoint here, 43. I want to make sure this should pass. That's why I'm trying to troubleshoot why it did not pass. Let me know. Okay. I'm going to close this session in next 2 minutes, and then if anyone else has any problem, I know Itiab had something you want to show, and I will come back to you, and then we'll troubleshoot from there on. And I will also upload this entire test in the shared drive, so you can download it and practice it, run it to see what you actually have. So now in my data table, I have to change that value. Global 93, right? So I already declared these two variables. So let's go back to the local variables. So is there anything it's not correct? Order number 93, order number 93, both value. One is order number that I captured on the line number 33 from this web page, and the other one is the STR data table value. So I was putting the value from the data table and comparing both of these. Okay, so still failing. I think there is something is not right in between this 93 space completed. Okay, the lowercase and uppercase is the main concern here. C is the uppercase here, and whereas C is lowercase. We can use something called the U case to make it even for all. We can say, okay, you remember, we can say make everything lowercase or make everything uppercase. Let's say U case. We can say U case, and then it's a string. We can put those string in there. So you can apply all these functions that available. And now if I run it, it should pass this time. All I have to do when I run it, I have to change that value to 94, I think, next number, and run it, and we should be done. So yeah, thank you. If you don't have any other question, I think we can end this session, and I'm going to stay a little bit more time with anyone having like something you want to troubleshoot or problem, running the test or did not understand anything. All right.